Testing, there we go. Good evening, everybody. I would like to begin my report. I would like to begin my report by addressing a growing concern among members across all sites regarding the summer school selection process. I have received numerous complaints from members who were upset about the qualifying for summer school opportunities. The biggest concern expressed by members is the uncertainty of how they will support themselves financially during the summer break. Unfortunately, members were not given enough advance notice to seek other employment opportunities, as the district missed the May 1st deadline to notify employees about summer school work opportunities. CACA asked that, moving forward, timeliness be followed so employees have the adequate time to prepare and make informed decisions regarding summer employment. For my second topic, I would like to address the low morale within Transportation Department. Many months have passed since the completion of the investigation, and members remain concerned about the lack of communication regarding action taken in response to the issues that were brought forward. CSCA hopes to receive an update soon, as employees continue to seek reassurance that their concerns are being taken seriously. For my third topic, retired members are continuing to ask about their one-time off schedule payment. CSCA has come to the table multiple times regarding the matter, but unfortunately no resolution has been reached for those who have already retired. CSCA respectfully asks that this issue be revisited so retired members can feel acknowledged and supported for their years of service. For my final topic, I would like to bring attention to the lack of substitute support within food services. During previous discussions at the table with Monica Oviedo, we spoke about the possibility of bringing in students to assist as substitutes. However, we have yet to receive a follow-up regarding this matter. Food service employees continue to need immediate support, and we hope progress can be made soon. Thank you all. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
President.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm giving a negotiations update. I've done this in the past, so I'm going to continue this practice.
I understand we have a total of 5 minutes each, so let's go.
I'll keep it short. I'll keep it to that. Good evening, Whittier Union High School District family. This is a negotiations update. I have 2 items to speak about. I'm Matthew Lacey, our Chief Negotiator and First Vice President. First is COLA. At the conclusion of the 24-25 school year, 11 of our members retired. They did not receive a COLA check. We asked for it several times. We've only been given excuses. If it was on schedule, they would have received it. Well, an on-schedule raise was not offered, as well as longevity for members over 15 years. The County Office of Education already cut the check. You should have settled sooner. From a budget where the money was already set aside for us. Where did that money go? They don't seem to have a problem cutting checks for outside contracting and catering. The County Office of Education isn't approving for that. We have the right to bargain our contract. We don't get to set limits. But those are their excuses not to pay COLA to 11 members who retired at the conclusion of the 24-25 school year, and to the 56 members who elected to take bars this year, as there will be no certainty that we will conclude negotiations before the end of May. Oh, but at least it's a good severance package. When do we start celebrating short-changing our staff on their way out? That's not a virtue, Barbinger. We value our most tenured staff, the years of service they've committed, serving this community, serving our students, and the guidance they provide to new employees. Support, gratitude, compassion. What does that look like? We did not agree to terms that would take from our members, which brings me to my next topic, summer school selection. This article is stapled from the 24-25 negotiation because the cabinet would not agree to change language that hurts our members. If you miss more than 2 days of summer school with no prejudice, bias practice, except for maybe a few of our friends who take vacation for a week during their summer assignment every year, you are subject to miss out on summer school assignment for the next 2 years. If you have a baby in the summer, you may lose your summer assignment for the next 2 years. If you lose a family member and need to miss more than 2 days to bury them and possibly even grieve, you may lose your summer assignment. If you end up in the ER with pain, I would wish on no one. You may lose your summer assignment. They think we're all going to lie about this stuff and take vacation during the summer. Proof of a doctor's note, a birth certificate, a death certificate. They have no interest to honor any of that. We work in the business of people. Personnel made the choice to use this language against us. There is no consequences to personnel if they give you your summer assignment. None of our members would question your eligibility to work if you had to bury your parent, because we are human beings. Are you planning on helping any of us through this? Because people are calling us in tears, freaking out. You've also said you have no interest in helping us file for unemployment for the months you refuse to provide us an assignment. You're messing with people's lives. Would it hurt to take some interest in your staff? And next time we negotiate, they'll tell me how I hurt their feelings by calling this out. Well, my feelings are hurt by your lack of empathy, compassion, and support. I feel betrayed. Dare make my team look like the bad guys in this, like this is something we agreed to. Labor rights or civil rights. In 1920, women were given civil rights, the right to vote, the essence of our free speech. In the 1960s, people of color were given civil rights. In 2010, LGBTQ community was given civil rights. Happy Pride Month. We can't write a policy for everything. They said that, not me. But if someone has to write language for you to treat people like human beings, you should question the type of human being you are. Your actions control this narrative.
The time is 7:04 p.m. and I officially call this meeting to order. Give me a quick second here. I can report out that there are no reportable items coming out of closed session. But now let's move to item number 5, the Pledge of Allegiance and Land Acknowledgement. Mr. Lopez, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Please rise. Ready? Begin.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Dr. Castaneda Calleros, will you lead us in the land acknowledgement, please?
Yes, Madam President, please, my honor. The Whittier Union High School District acknowledges our presence in the traditional ancestral land of the Gabrielino Tonga peoples, which includes the villages of Chokishna, now Santa Fe Springs, C8, now Los Nietos Whittier, and the village of Sechotna, now Whittier San Gabriel. This land remains unceded territory. Whittier Union High School District honors and respects the Gabrielino Tonga ancestors and their connection to this land.
Thank you very much. Let me now move to item number 6, 6.01, pardon me. Consider approval of minutes from the April 7, 2026 regular board meeting. May I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Conchola, seconded by Mr. Lopez. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes 5-0. Let's move to item 6.02, to consider approval of the minutes from the April 25, 2026 special board meeting. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Castaneda Calleros, seconded by Ms. Conchola. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Now moving on to item number 7, approval of the May 12, 2026 board agenda. Can I get a
So
motion
moved.
for approval? Moved by Mr. Lopez,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Conchola. Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. All right, then we now get to move to item number 8, community comments. Do we have comments? We do. Let me read the preamble we have for all of our members of the community who come to speak in front of us. The Board of Trustees welcomes community comments on any item within the board's subject matter jurisdiction. Please be aware that Government Code Section 54954.2 prohibits the board from taking action or discussing a comment at the meeting if the matter does not already appear on the posted agenda. All request cards to address the board must be submitted prior to the commencement of the public meeting. In the interest of time, individual speakers will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board, and the board will limit the total time for public input to an item to 20 minutes. In order to accommodate more speakers, the allotted time per individual may be reduced. The board president may extend the allotted time per item with consent of the board. We ask that you confine your comments to new ideas to avoid repeating what has already been said. Please do not refer specifically to any students, employees, or parents, or other individuals. whether by name or other identifying information in a derogatory or potentially offensive manner. For those of you speaking before us, please be aware that while the board is listening very carefully, we cannot, pursuant to the Brown Act, affirmatively respond to you as you provide your public comments. And so with that, can we call the folks up?
Yes, our first speaker is Rachel Vasquez, and Ms. Vasquez, you can speak from either mic that you would prefer. And Mr. Tamero is going to be the timekeeper, and he'll give you a warning after 2 minutes that you still have 1 more minute to speak. And Mr. Tamero is over there in this plate.
Okay,
And welcome.
thank you.
There's a button right there on the side of the microphone on the bottom. You see it? No, on the microphone itself.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board, district administration, and community members. My name is Rachel Vasquez, and I'm here tonight regarding serious concerns involving the cheer and stunt program at Lucerna High School within Whittier Union High School District. Our daughter, Michaela Vasquez, is a brain tumor survivor and a student athlete at Lucerna with an IEP for learning disabilities and other health impairments. I want to make it clear that I did not come here lightly. Over the past several years, my family has attempted to address concerns through appropriate channels. Unfortunately, many of these issues remain unresolved, and the pattern has emerged involves student safety concerns, retaliation, inequitable treatment, and troubled financial practices that appear inconsistent with district policy and California Education Code. In March of 2020, concerns were raised regarding student treatment, communication with athletic programs, and fundraising accountability. At the time, questions already existed about money handling practices, including situations where parents were allegedly instructed to write checks directly to coaches rather than processing funds through approved school channels. Since then, concerns have only expanded. My daughter experienced ongoing bullying, harassment, included repeated vandalism to our home, and involved police reports and video evidence. Despite coaching staff being informed, there was little to no meaningful intervention. No wellness check, no apparent preventative action taken to protect her safety or emotional well-being. District policies, including BP 5131.2 and California Education Code 234.1, require intervention
1 minute.
when bullying and harassment are reported. Students and families should never feel abandoned after coming forward. Additionally, concerns were raised regarding confidentiality and retaliation. Information regarding prior complaints and legal matters appear to have been shared inappropriately, creating an environment where families feared retaliation simply for speaking up. After concerns were reported, my daughter experienced exclusion from senior communications, team decisions, senior traditions, participation opportunities, and these actions created the appearance of retaliation and unequal treatment within the program. District policies under BPAR 1312.3 and California Education Code Section 220 are intended to protect families from exactly this kind of conduct. I also want to address concerns regarding professional conduct within the program. It was reported that derogatory and gender-based language was used.
No, it's not.
With the board's approval, are we okay with expanding the time?
I'm okay with 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 more minute, Ms. Vasquez.
Okay, thank you. Referring to female athletes on opposing teams. Language that stereotypes or demeans students has no place in educational athletics and appears inconsistent with district non-discrimination and professional conduct standards. Concerns also exist regarding fairness and conflicts of interest within team placement and participation decisions. When a coach's own child competes within the program, the district has an obligation to ensure decisions are objective, transparent, and equitable for all athletes. Additional concerns arise when a coach's child who now competes at the collegiate level is appointed to a coaching position within the high school program. In this situation, the individual has influence over athlete development, team placement, recommendations, and exposure for athletes who may later pursue opportunities at the same college program in which she currently competes. This creates the appearance of a potential conflict of interest, as athletes and families may reasonably question whether. What was that?
That was the additional minute. Please complete your thought.
Okay. All participants are being given an equal opportunity to develop and compete fairly without fear that relationships or future collegiate competition could impact coaching decisions. And I will pass the remainder of this on to my daughter's aunt.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vasquez.
Thank you.
Is there another speaker?
Yes, we have two more. The next one is Candy Cosimano.
Thank you. So the district and board have an obligation to ensure decisions are objective, transparent, and equitable for all athletes. My niece has also documented medical educational needs, but despite this, grading, attendance expectations, and participation consequences appear to be applied inconsistently compared to other athletes. Students with IEPs and medical conditions are entitled to equitable treatment under Section 504 IDEA and California Education Code protections. The most serious concerns, however, involve financial practices within the cheer and stunt programs. Families have reportedly been required to pay thousands of dollars annually, often ranging from approximately $3,000 to over $5,000 per athlete. At the same time, funds were allegedly collected and managed outside approved school financial systems through cash payments, Zelle, Venmo, and parent-controlled accounts. There are also concerns regarding the use of individual fundraising accounts, which appears inconsistent with California ASB accounting guidance, stating that fundraising must benefit the group rather than individual students. One specific incident raises particular serious concerns. In December 2025, $2,500 in fundraiser proceeds was reportedly directed to be sent through Zelle into a coach's personal account. I want to repeat that clearly. School-related fundraiser money was allegedly deposited into a personal account rather than an approved district or ASB account. Under BPAR 3452, the ASB Accounting Manual and California Education Code, Section 41010, school funds are required to be handled through approved financial oversight procedures designed to protect students, families, staff, and the district itself. Families also experienced inconsistent billing and unexplained fee increases, missing items that were paid for but never received, and lack of itemized financial transparency. These are not minor bookkeeping concerns. These issues involve accountability, public trust, and potential misuse of student activity funds. Tonight, I'm respectfully requesting the following actions of the district. A formal investigation into student safety, bullying, retaliation, and program conduct concerns. A comprehensive financial audit of the cheer and stunt programs, including fundraising practices, coaching payments, outside accounts, and all non-ASB financial handling. A review of district oversight procedures regarding athletic programs and extracurricular finances. Written findings and corrective actions.
With permission of the board, one more minute,
I could probably finish in a minute.
please.
Yes.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And finally, assurance that no retaliation will occur against my niece, my family, or any student or parent who raises concerns in good faith. This is bigger than one athlete or one family. Every student deserves to participate in school programs free from bullying, exclusion, retaliation, and financial impropriety. Every parent deserves transparency and accountability when they're asked to entrust schools with both their children and their money. I'm asking this board tonight to ensure that district policies, California Education Code, and ethical standards are being followed consistently and fairly for all students. Thank you for your time.
Jenny, what site were you referring to?
One more time?
What school site were you referring to?
Lucerne High School.
Lucerne. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you clearly. I thought you were asking about a code.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Final,
Yes, the next one.
final comment, community comment is from Michael Vasquez.
We're good.
I got it finished.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vasquez.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this has been brought up before, but I would like to at least have some answers or have someone connect with her.
Yes, so at some point later on in the meeting, I think we can make a statement about it during board comments or at the very end when we request additional items from the superintendent. Thank you all so much. Let me now move on to item number 9, which is reports from representatives. I think today is Mr. Renteria's turn to start first. So we'll start with Mr. Renteria.
Good evening, President, members, and, sorry, let me start again. Good evening, President and members of the Board of Trustees, Superintendent, Cabinet members, and our Whittier family. On behalf of the faculty and staff of Whittier Union Adult School, I'm pleased to present this report which highlights the student achievement, the instructional success of our teachers, campus improvements, and key district initiatives. These accomplishments reflect our collective commitment to providing high-quality education, opportunities that empower our adult learners to achieve their academic and professional and personal goals. Under student achievement, our high school diploma and high school equivalency programs continue to provide life-changing opportunities. To date, we have confirmed that we have 30 students who have completed all the requirements for a high school diploma. 42 students have also successfully earned their high school equivalency exam, and we're looking forward to having an additional 40 students who will complete the requirement examinations by the end of the following weeks. These milestones represent a significant perseverance and dedication on the part of our students and demonstrate the outstanding support provided by instructors, counselors, and staff. In our career technical department, we can see the work from Mr. Vasquez, who reports that more than 40 students have earned certifications in completion of Microsoft Word and Excel in this academic year. His classroom is a powerful example of lifelong learning and community engagement, serving students of all ages and backgrounds. Very briefly, I'll mention about Albert Johnson and also a husband and wife team who operate a fire extinguisher installation businesses and enroll in their program to strengthen their bookkeeping practices. For our campus improvement, we have seen that the new digital marquee is on its way. We want to extend a sincere appreciation to the Board of Trustees and the district administration for the efforts in replacing the Whittier Union Adult School marquee. Since its original installation, the marquee has served as a highly effective method for outreach and enrollment tool, attracting hundreds of prospective students, while providing a timely information to students and community members. The new marquee will signify enhancements to our ability to promote registration dates, new and continuing courses, student achievement, and special events. We look forward to the completion of this project and the continued positive impact that it will have in the student recruitment and community engagement. From Dr. Margie Moriarty, we are hearing that in the following weeks, the Whittier Union Adult School is preparing for a hearing on May 19th regarding the ELL Round 3 grant. If awarded, this competitive grant will provide $1.15 million to support programs during the 2027-2029 school years. These funds will be instrumental in sustaining current courses, expanding services, and introducing new educational opportunities for our multilingual learners and the broader community. In regards to our labor relationships and collaborative negotiations, I'm pleased to report also that our negotiation team has met with Ms. Fitzgerald and has made meaningful progress toward a mutual and beneficial agreement. These accomplishments highlight the work from our teams. Let's see, and, sorry, get it on the side. Okay, continuing down, from the medical assistant program, I want to report something new. Ms. Sandy Partida, our LVM teacher, reports that one of our examples of an outstanding student, Cecilia Aviles, has overcome significant personal challenges and re-enrolled in the fall 2025 cohort. As a result, Cecilia has secured employment immediately following an externship. She has advanced into a leadership role in the classroom where she now mentors and trains incoming students. In our accounting program, we can see Veronica Salmeron enrolled and preparing for managing the financial record for her husband's new established construction company. Last but not least, I want to also provide recognition and appreciation. We would like to extend our heartfelt congratulations to all of this year's retirees. Their years of dedication, service, professionalism, and commitment to student success have left a long-lasting impact on countless students and colleagues throughout our district. Thank you for the knowledge that they have shared and the relationship that they have built. They are an example that they have set unwavering dedication to education. Their contributions have strengthened our school, enriched our community, and they leave a legacy that will continue to inspire those that follow. I would like to also offer a special and sincere thank you to Ms. Olga Cedillo for her exceptional support with the communications and timely reminders throughout the year. Her organized responsiveness and attention to detail have been invaluable in helping, I believe, the three of us in making sure that our work proceeds smoothly and efficiently. I also want to mention that in a time when school districts across California face declining enrollment, economic uncertainty, and rising operation costs, the district, Whittier Union High School District, has provided prudential financial stewardship and careful leadership. Thanks to that, we have provided stability and confidence to our teachers, our students, and our community. This approach stands in contrast to the recent events like the ones in Little Lake School District, where the labor strike lasted 14 days. It did affect 3,500 students, including my daughter, 200 educators, hundreds of families, and the surrounding communities. According to California, the Teachers Association, this was the third longest strike in California since 1996. We are definitely grateful to work in a district that values collaboration, respects its employees, and remains committed to maintaining uninterrupted educational service for our students. In conclusion, Whittier Union continues to provide a transformative educational experience that leads to graduation, employment, career advancement, and lifelong learning. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Good evening, family, friends, administrators, trustees, and honored guests. I'd like to thank all of my WSEA members for joining me either in person or virtually tonight. It is my privilege to speak on behalf of the dedicated and passionate educators who make a profound impact on the lives of our students each and every day. As we move close to the end of another school year, there's a feeling across our campuses that is familiar to every educator: exhaustion, pride, relief, reflection, and hope, all arriving at once. WCA members are wrapping up months of teaching, mentoring, coaching, counseling, grading, planning, encouraging, and caring for students. The end of the school year is never simply a finish line. It is the culmination of thousands of unseen moments, Early mornings, late nights, difficult conversations, small victories, and acts of patience and compassion that rarely make headlines but shape lives every single day. And as summer approaches, our educators will do what educators do best. Some will take a well-earned opportunity to rest and recharge with their families. Others will spend part of their summer attending professional development, refining curriculum, collaborating with colleagues, or preparing for the next group of students who will walk into their classrooms in August. Some of us are crazy and teach summer school. Teaching is one of those few professions where even the quote break is often spent thinking how to do the job better for others. There's a quote from Henry Adams that feels especially fitting this evening. A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. And kind of reflecting on our 5 o'clock pre-board meeting, I want to recognize a remarkable group of individuals who embody that truth. This year's retirees. Many of these educators have dedicated more than 30 years of service to the students and families of the Whittier Union High School District. Think about how much has changed during that time. When many began their careers here, the starting salary in the district was around $24,000, and the district fully covered medical insurance. The world looked different. Education looked different. Technology looked different. Yet through every change, every challenge, every initiative, and every generation of students, these educators remained a constant source of stability, wisdom, and care. They taught before smartphones, before Google Classroom, before AI, before a global pandemic changed education forever. They adapted continuously because that's what great educators do. They evolved while never losing sight of the human connection at the heart of teaching. Their impact cannot be measured simply in years served. It lives in the former students who discovered confidence because a teacher believed in them. It lives in the graduate who found purpose because someone challenged them to think more deeply. It lives in the culture of our schools and in the colleagues they mentored along the way. For decades, they have given their energy, their creativity, and enormous portions of their lives to our district. And now, after years of serving according to school calendars, bell schedules, grading periods, and endless obligations, they have arrived at something more than earned, their endless summer. So on behalf of WSEA, I want to thank all of our retirees for their years of service, but also for the lives they changed and the legacy they leave behind in Whittier Union classrooms and on the dais. We wish them health, joy, rest, adventure, and the opportunity to rediscover time that truly belongs to them. Congratulations to all our retirees, and thank you for everything you have given this district and this community.
Thank you so much, Mr. Francero. All right, let me now move to the next item, which is item number 10, board reports. And I'll start with you, Mr. Urquiera. We'll be here to my far right.
Well, I mean, it was, this was the first time I was able to participate in the retirement, Employee of the Year recognitions and all the celebrations. Those are always great events to recognize those employees who've given their career, those long, hard times with our students here in the district. And so it was an honor to be a part of that, and a great job with the staff and everyone who put that together. And I want to congratulate all our retirees, all our employees of the year, especially the two district employees of the years, and I'm glad that we have our classified staff to be participating in that. And she was surprised. I mean, I guess she was surprised being retired. She just wants to, a couple more weeks, and then she's gone. But we want to thank all our employees and all the other special recognitions. So, and it's nice to see the new students who will be with us up here following with the next school year. So, thank you for the district for doing that. It was a great opportunity for myself to be a part of that. So it's that time of the year. It was mentioned earlier, it's the end of the year and all the end of the year events, all the fun things that come along with wrapping up another school year. And so I'm excited to attend as many of those year-end events. I know I will be at the Cal High Santa Fe Springs graduation ceremonies. Also gonna attend the ATP ceremony. I haven't sent that out to you. I'm not sure if I did, so I'll be a part of that. And so great opportunity to participate and see all the parents and the smiling faces as their child is walking across the stage, and those are always the fun times. I want to thank our district staff too. On Friday last week, I was able to kind of get away to some sites and the district office staff. I finally got a chance to kind of get to a lot of the departments and meet a lot of the district staff. And so I want to thank our superintendent and Mr. Jamero for kind of walking me around and showing me all the people I'm walking through. I got a chance to see a lot of our staff and our people that work behind the scenes that sometimes are hiding in the shadow, but they are just as important as all of us to make the district a great place to be. And so it was nice to be able to meet them. And there was a few that were not there for work-related stuff, and so I'll get a chance to meet them. Then I was able to head over to Cal High and walk through the campus there and see our principal Jones. I'm getting that right. Okay, Jones. I want to make sure I get all the names right. And so she walked us around. Mr. Jamero kind of was with me. And we walked around the campuses, saw a lot of people, and was able to meet some people, even some new people who are going to be up here soon. And so it was a great opportunity. I won't spoil anything. I'm not sure how much is out there, but it's nice to be able to be there and get a chance. And haven't gone to all for a formal, official visit like that to all the campuses, but I will. I haven't informally been there, but not the formal one, but it's great. So thank you again for coordinating that and allowing me to be a part of that. It's nice to see the new pools coming along. And, that's going to be exciting when we kick that off, but a great resource for our children, our students here for that new pool. So excited about that. And again, coming at the end of the year, as we end the year and then reflect on that, and then the new openings of a new school year, as I make these visits, it's a great time to look at, maybe make commitments and look at things in different perspectives and stuff. And I do, I'm always one with making sure that we have access and availability. Everything is, all students and all staff have access to the things that they need. And so if, a challenge, a commitment, whatever you want to call it, as we open up the next school year, that we want to really, really make sure that all our campuses are ready for our students. I know inside the classrooms, our staffs are instructional-wise in classrooms, and I'm talking the physical plant of every school, making sure that time that the district office can support our school sites as much as we can to making sure that those school sites are ready, cleaned, painting work, ready to paint, everything's fixed that needs to be ready to fix. Every year things get broken, it's just part of what happens. We got thousands and thousands of kids on campus, so it's always going to happen. But commitment that we make sure that all our campuses are really in a position and an area where all our students are ready to come back on and have access to that. So just wanted to kind of make that comment. I want to touch on, Madam President, I'm not sure if this was a prior thing that was brought up prior, or if the district office even knows about some of the concerns that were brought up for open comments. So if not, maybe if we can connect someone to at least connect with our public comment people and then just hear their concerns. I would like to see something with some of the concerns that were brought to us. And then Olga, even though it's been a short time, I want to thank you. You helped with my transition here, being on the board and connecting. I'm sad that I'm not going to be able to spend a whole lot of time with you, unless you want to come back after 6 months and step back or do something, or unless you're going to run for the board at some point. But thank you very much for everything officially. Congratulations on your retirement. You've given a lot of years to the district and a lot of years in your current spot, a lot of knowledge. And I know as we transition our new person here, they will absorb as much as possible. But I want to thank you for your service to our district, to the community, and to our students, and wish you the best of luck. We hand you now off to your family there, and do all the fun things that you want to do and be a part of. So congratulations. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Fiona. Dr. Castañeda-Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'm just going to divert from my regular report and just address Ms. Rachel Vasquez, who spoke tonight, and Candy Kusumato. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. I want to thank you for advocating for your daughter. I think it's fair to say that we're all Team Michaela. We all want the best for her. We want her to have the best experience she can. And as a product of this district, I know how important high school years are. And as a parent of 3, I know how important it is to advocate for your child. The issues that have been brought up tonight are concerning, and I also, as my colleague said, look forward to whatever follow-up can be provided, and I have full faith in Dr. Oviedo and the district leadership. And Sean Stewart's in the room too. Thank you, Mr. Stewart, for your involvement in the process. It takes a village, and so I'm looking forward to, along with my colleagues, to be kept up to date with how this develops. And regardless of how this shakes out, we may not always agree with the district or with our board, but I hope tonight you felt listened to and respected, and I hope that collaboration continues to go both ways moving forward. Next, I'd like to just go to my report really briefly, because I know I have a time limit, and I want to make sure I hold myself accountable. I did attend the Evening of the Arts at Whittier High School. I am remiss in getting back to one of the students from whom I promised to buy her art, Brianna, who had beautiful art displayed. And obviously, it wasn't just her, but all the Whittier High School students did such a great job displaying their art. I did not make it to Big Lopez to see the performing arts, but the visual arts were stunning. And so it was so good to be able to go by, at least for the short hour that I did. What was also very honored to go to my first Tri-Cities ROP meeting, even though I haven't been sworn in as the alternate yet, and that won't happen until Thursday night. It's still important for me to remain informed on the issues that are before the board. And I want to thank my colleagues, Mr. Lopez and Ms. Rodriguez-Moisa, for their leadership on the board, and I hope I can be a worthy alternate to represent the Whittier Union in the future. And also want to thank Matt Francis for your time breaking bread with you and Alex McKenzie on May the 4th. And just be assured that, as I always try to do, I listen very attentively to your concerns and respond within 24 hours to Dr. Oviedo to make sure that she's on the same page. And so I'll continue to do that. And you have my cell phone number, so please continue to keep that line open, and thank you.
Same.
Thank you. And on May the 7th, I had a conversation with Mr. Lacey. Mr. Lacey, I think you are sitting here in the back. Maybe you stepped out. But thank you for reaching out to me as well. And I said to you privately, and I'll say it again publicly today, the window is open. And so I encourage the CSCA bargaining team, not that I want to get involved in negotiations and hear from the dais, but I sincerely encourage the bargaining team to work with the district to take advantage of that window that's open right now on language that could be clarified. So we don't have some of these issues in terms of retroactive and looking at the future that are popping up now that hopefully they can be resolved in the future. Especially with reference to the substitute issue. And again, that's something that I know we're all mindful of, and just be assured that we have heard you loud and clear, and we're trying to work together as a team to figure out what is possible and what is not. So I just appreciate, again, that collaboration continue to be practiced in the coming weeks as both sides come to the table yet again before the end of the month. In terms of other events, I'm looking forward to going to the Interfaith Food Center fundraiser this Saturday to raise money for an organization that provides so much nutritious food for our families in Whittier, Santa Fe Springs, Los Nietos, and La Mirada. That'll be 11 a.m. at WAC. And thank you to the Cal High Culinary Arts students who are going to be volunteering and providing dessert and serving. So I'm really excited for them, and thank you to Sheena Jones for coordinating. And congratulations to all the retirees, all the award winners. It truly is humbling to hear not just the years that are given, it's of course the numbers themselves are impressive, but also just the heart and soul that's provided day in and day out, and all the things that are done that we never know about behind the scenes, in the office, in the classroom, in the field, out in the bus routes, all the love that's shown to our students, the care shown to our students. And to have them come back and be able to talk about how special this time here at Whittier Union is for them. We're indebted to you. And it's so humbling to hear about all these years. And Olga, I'm not going to count up the years, that's already been done. But again, I'm looking forward to celebrating, of course, your accomplishments and your contributions. I know June 18th is on my calendar, so definitely look forward to that. And congratulations to all the award winners, especially to Martha Delgadillo from Pioneer High School on being the Classified Employee of the Year, David Carter from Lucerna High School on being Teacher of the Year, and of course to the late Martin Matthews at Pioneer High School. That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Castaneda Calleros. Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to point out that I heard the public comments from Ms. Vasquez and others. Thank you for addressing the issue. And not only do I see just Ms. Vasquez, but also the support group. And just like Trustee Castaneda Calleros mentioned, that as parents, we have a role, and one of the main roles is to advocate for our child, our student. So thank you for that, and we heard you, and I'll follow up with Dr. Oviedo. And also, today, the district showed great value and appreciation to the retirees and the award recipients. I want to thank you all for committing to the district. So congratulations. Another congratulations goes to the newly elected leaders for the city of Whittier, Mayor James Becerra, Councilmember Aida Macedo, and Councilmember Vicky Santana. And for the first time ever, we recognize a classified employee of the year. And from my understanding, they're gonna have a nice picture posted here. So thank you, Dr. Bill, thank you, Trustee Rodriguez Moisa, making it happen, appreciate it. And one last thing, Olga, thank you for everything you've done for the district, appreciate it. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Ms. Conchola.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to mention about the Santa Fe Springs Arts Festival. I was there. We had a lot of our student talent that was shown. Some of our students from Santa Fe High, some of our students from Pioneer High School. And then they also served as volunteers. So there were runners and doing all sorts of amazing things at the festival. So I thought it was a beautiful community event. I also wanted to congratulate our certified person of the year and our teacher of the year. We also attended the WSCA's event. It was so wonderful to have an acknowledge of our teacher of the year there with a lot of our neighboring districts. And it was a very uplifting event. You can see how much love and energy goes into this wonderful profession, and there's a sense of pride, when they were particularly mentioning our person from Whittier Union High School District. Also, back on April 17th, actually, Mr. Lopez and I attended the California High School Multilingual mentor event, and we did like roundtables, so students would come around and would talk a little bit about our experience being bilingual and how that has helped us in terms of our own growth and profession, and the students had a lot of questions for us, and it was just a beautiful exchange. And it was the first time that it had been done at Cal High, and I worked wonderfully, so I hope we can model that at some of our other high schools, because it was very effective. Also, kudos to Whittier City Council, our new members there at Whittier, our partners in the city. And, this election cost like national attention, so that was kind of exciting, to have it at the local level. And so we just want to congratulate our new city council members and the new mayor in Whittier, and we'll continue to work with the city of Whittier as one of our key partners. And to serve the retirees, the celebration was very beautiful. I kept thinking about the collective, literally hundreds of years of experience of all the people that are retiring, how much dedication that has gone into serving students, whether it was helping them get a meal on the line or being in the classroom, provide them un consejo, a little bit of guidance. All of those people that may understand that they're making a difference, but long term they might not even know what a great impact they've done for these students and what life-changing conversations they might have had in terms of really impacting the futures of our students. So I'm just very grateful to all of the people that are retiring in terms of all the time that they dedicated to Whittier Union High School districts, to our students, to our families, to our community. And I want to publicly just wish them the best. May they now find the time to do all the things they were putting aside because they were working for Whittier Union, and to really enjoy this new phase of life. Also, in particular, there's a very special person, two special people in the retiree grouping. One of them is a lady that goes to church with us at Our Lady of Perpetual Help. She's actually one of our choir singers, and whose family has become like a second family to me. In fact, one of her daughters is one of my comadres. And so we've grown with the families, and now, she's gonna finally have time to be with her grandchildren. But the other very special person is Olga. And I haven't just been working with Olga since I've been on the board. I actually was working with Olga many, many years ago, decades ago probably now. When I came in to work when I was working with Puente, and she was in categorical programs in that unit. Ever since stage one, Olga has been smiles and sunshine all into, evolve into one individual. And I have often called her for little things that she just like makes my day brighter. And so I just, I'm already missing you, Olga, but I'm really happy for you in terms of, this new amazing time. You can, enjoy yourself and not having to be taking care of us all the time. But more than anything, I just want you to know that I'm only a call away. Thank you. And so that is basically my report. Oh, one other thing. I just as an FYI, I will be out of the country May 20th through the 28th. I'm going to Mexico City to pay Amanda, which is a promise to the Virgin Mary, because thankfully I have just finished my chemo series, and so that's a big deal for my mom and for me. But then we'll be back, God willing. But in any case, I did also want to just acknowledge all the preparation that went into the retiree celebration. It went really smoothly, but there's a reason for that. There's a lot of preparation, and I just want to thank Dr. Oviedo, all of the staff that put all the things together to make that happen, and thank you for your hard work.
All right, then we'll go to my report. Thank you so much, Ms. Conchola. I'll start off with sort of some of the activities that I've been working on since our last meeting. Ms. Conchola had given a preview of it, but it finally happened, which is our Young Women's Leaders event that occurred after our last board meeting. It was incredible to bring together so many of our young women leaders, along with our women in leadership here in the district and in the community. I've talked to Dr. Oviedo, and there's a plan now to do one for our young men. So my fellow board members, I think we're looking at a date in the fall, because it was such a positive experience that I think that our young men should have a similar experience, and so we're going to do that in the fall.
Thank you.
I do want to remind you all, the Whittier Union High School District Foundation is having a fundraiser on Saturday, May 23, the Paint and Sip. This is very important. You all know it's an important cause to me, because it is a way for us, separately and apart, to be able to support the extracurricular activities of our current students. It's not for scholarships, it's not for students who have graduated, it is for those activities to support our students currently. So if you can make it, let us know. I think we're going to also send you all a digital invitation. I had the pleasure of attending the Cal High Senior Awards Night was it just last night? Last night. This is my favorite time of the year to come full circle to Mr. Murciaga's comments at the beginning. Graduation is coming up. I know I'll be at the USEC, Cal High in La Serna. I'm super excited about that. The staff probably gets tired of me saying that, but I love seeing the students graduate and see where life will take them, and know that we have worked really hard to help build great citizens, and so I'm looking forward to that. I will be at the La Serna High School Senior Awards Night. It's just too bad it's the same night as Whittier High School, because I would have liked to have gone to that one, but, you know, it didn't happen for me this year. I also want to recognize the Whittier City Council election. For those of you who don't know, my husband, Alex Moisa, swore in Councilmember Santana. We have known her for well over 20 years, and she gave a very beautiful homage to him and the work that he had done in prior elections, and it was very heartfelt. To that point, I did write a letter today to the Whittier City Council, who is honoring and recognizing our Lucerna Girls Water Polo Division II CIF champions. This was the only night that they could recognize them, and I know that we all probably would have wanted to be there, but alas, we have this business that we have to attend to. Upcoming, Mr. Lopez and I have a subcommittee meeting coming up on our bylaws. A few of us, I think, are going to engage East Whittier on Friday. So I want to make that comment. I really want to attend the Lions Club recognition for the scholarship for our students, but I think I'll be at the ROP meeting. But I might leave early once Dr. Castaneda Calleros gets sworn in and go over there, because they give such great, generous scholarships to our students. And I'm not sure yet, but I'm a maybe until I can talk to him. I do want to share, of course, that I too had a conversation with Mr. Lacey from CSEA expressing the concerns that he expressed here. I'm very happy that he felt comfortable reaching out to us. And of course, I say this about Mr. Renteria and Mr. Frances as well. We recognize that you are very critical, important partners to us. And we are here to listen. We hopefully can agree 95% of the time, and then maybe those few times when we have to. But we are here to listen and to see you and hear those concerns. Please, please, I know he's left, let him know that we certainly respected that, and obviously we can't bargain on behalf of the district on any of those calls. But we do hear you, and we do want to work with you on seeing where we can go moving forward, and that goes to all three of our associations. I also want to say to the Vasquez family, thank you for coming and having the courage to speak. There is a suggestion that you made that I'm probably going to bring up at the very end of our meeting in terms of future board items, and that has to do with the financial auditing of how we keep track of monies. And I think we all as a board need to be educated generally about what those policies are, what we do. I'm not going to promise anything else, but I will tell you that obviously we have asked our superintendent and our administration to respond and work with you to see if we can find a positive resolution. But I will say that the question you've raised about financial audits and how we do that, I think is a very important one that we as a board should be looking into. So I appreciate you coming forward, and then obviously we'll talk about this later on in the meeting, because there's a section where we can bring up items. And so with that, I will end my comments. Thank you so much. Now let me move to item number 11, the superintendent's report. Oh, I'm sorry, how could I forget? The retirees. I'm going to talk to Olga privately and tell her how much she has meant to me. So I will tell her, whether it's at her retirement party or when I take her out for happy hour, I will talk to her. Because she owes me a happy hour, is all I'm going to say. But to all of you here, particularly those of you who are CSEA, WADA, WSCA, and obviously our incredible team in the back, the best part of this position over the last 3 years has been getting to know all of you and to see the incredible dedication and calling that you have to serve our students. So while we're saying goodbye or having them enjoy their endless summer for those retirees, I know that we all are so appreciative of everything they've done, and we are appreciative of you, those of you who are not retiring and sticking around. Thank you, and thank you to the retirees. And with that, I apologize, Dr. Piero. I pass it on to you.
So good evening. Well, since our last meeting in April, I've had several opportunities to speak in the greater Los Angeles community, twice at my alma mater, USC, about our work and leadership in Whittier Union. And in each of those opportunities, I've shared about the collaborative culture of Whittier Union and our commitment to equity and excellence. As we enter the final weeks of the school year, we're looking forward to many celebrations. Yesterday, we celebrated our AVID programs and their commitment to access. Some key achievement metrics include 88% of AVID students have taken at least one advanced placement course, 98% of them are completing an A through G course of study and have enrolled in college. I also want to commend our Puente schools who hosted Antelope Valley Union High School District and Corona Norco Union School District, both of whom were desirous of visiting to glean best implementation practices as it relates to implementing and growing their programs in their districts. Our senior recognition events begin this week with Cal's event last night, Whittier and Lucerna on Monday, and Santa Fe and Pioneer next Wednesday. If you are planning to attend one of these evenings, please do let Olga know so that we can let the school know. This Saturday, the local Wellness Foundation, it is the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this Saturday, the local Wellness Foundation and Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health will be having the annual Take Action LA Mental Health event. This year, it will be hosted at Whittier High School. The day will include a variety of mental health hands-on activities, including yoga, acupressure, and sound bath. About 1,000 people are anticipated to attend, including Whittier's new mayor and Senator Bob Archuleta. On our consent calendar for your approval, I want to share with you some items of note. Approval for the continued CIF play for Lucerna Swimming, Track and Field Championships in Clovis and nearby Fresno, and the ratification of CIF play for Lucerna Stunt. Completion of several facilities projects across the district, including roof repairs and gym resurfacing at Lucerna, a new marquee at Pioneer, and electrical upgrades for the CAT Academy rooms at Pioneer. And there are photos of these projects in your materials. As a follow-up to our conversation last month, we are still pursuing establishing a power purchase agreement with another vendor for solar, and we are meeting with a company next week. I want to share with you, though, that window for participating is rapidly closing, and many of the federal subsidies have gone away with this new administration. But we are anticipating sharing with you any recommendations about feasibility at our next meeting. I also want to recognize our cabinet who have worked tirelessly to support our district. Kudos to Deputy Superintendent Jamero for his diligent efforts alongside our financial advisor and our bond counsel and underwriter, who successfully refinanced our Measure C bonds on April 22nd, saving our taxpayers $2.3 million over the remaining life of the bonds. Also to Ms. Fitzgerald, who with her team and the board will approve later this evening, have successfully onboarded 6 new food service workers, 2 new custodians, and 5 promotionally reclassified staff members. And we are, Mr. Rodriguez, very committed to ensuring student workers, and I will continue to work with Mr. Jamero on that. It's a win-win for our staff and for our students. And for Mrs. Bozigian, who is working with her team to plan a robust summer of professional learning for all Whittier Union staff, so thank you. And additionally, best of luck to all of our student athletes who are in CIF play this week and next. Lucerna Boys Golf, individuals and team, have advanced to play next week. Santa Fe and Lucerna Boys Tennis advanced to the semis. Cal, Lucerna, and Santa Fe Baseball are continuing on, as is Pioneer, Cal, Santa Fe, and Lucerna Softball.
All of our sites.
Lots of activity. We'll be sure to keep the board posted as these teams advance. And finally, attached is the third quarter Williams report with no findings. And that does conclude my report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vero. Let me now move to item number 12, the consent calendar. Does anyone have any item pulled before I move to have it approved?
Yes.
Dr. Casanera Calleros?
Thank you, Madam Board President. Yes, I'd like to pull 12.04, the consider approval of continuing contracts, and 12.09, the notice of completions.
All right. Any others before I give one? I'd like to pull 12.06 and 12.07. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar minus, with the exception of items 1204, 1206, 1207, and 1209?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Conchola, seconded by Mr. Lopez to approve the consent calendar item with the exceptions of items 1204, 1206, 1207, and 1209. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. That motion passes 5-0. Okay, so for purposes of discussion, can I get a motion to approve 1204, and then we'll raise the issue you have. Dr. Castaneda.
Motion to approve
1204.
Second.
All right, a motion by Mr. Lopez, seconded by Dr. Castaneda Calleros to approve items 12.04. Discussion, I'll start with you, Dr. Castaneda Calleros.
Thank you, Madam Board President. Just wanted to ask Dr. Oviedo and Cabinet about a couple of vendors to whom we're going to be entering contracts, agreements, and leases and insurance during the upcoming 26-27 year. Just noticed a few of these contract amounts are tripling or doubling, and I just wanted to get explanations for the reasons. And in particular, I'm looking at CRB Security, Byerly, Train Inc., Lunch Assist, and the RHEC, the Rio Hondo Education Consortium, DBA, Learn.
If I could bunch them together and then have different cabinet members speak to that. So
Sure.
the first three that actually fall under facilities, if Mr. Jamero, if you could speak to CRB Security, Byerly, and Train.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Dr. Oviedo. CRB Security, we'll start with that one. First of all, I'll just preface the continuing contracts piece is definitely an imperfect art of trying to anticipate current expenses for a year that's not completed, and then anticipate future expenses in the next future year, all with the goal of streamlining services for students through one large document. So, having said that, for CRB Security, significant increase from 15,000 to 150,000. Historically, CRB Security provide servicing of legacy automated gate control systems. Replacement parts for these legacy systems are now no longer available. So part of this piece is, one, to again extend a service contract, but through that process replace all of our automated gates with new updated control systems that'll allow us to again service them and replace parts as needed. So really this is historically the 15,000 covered kind of an ongoing servicing of gates. Now this is an extending to replace gate controllers at all of our automated gate systems across the district and provide servicing thereafter. So that's CRB Security. Any questions on that before I move on to the next one?
Just if I hear correctly, this is a one-time expense that we are not going to anticipate maybe.
That's correct. We anticipate CRB Security returning back down to just the service agreement portion, which we've had historically. So this will be an upgrade in the 26-27 fiscal year.
Thank you.
Similarly, Train, I believe, is the next one. If you recall, we've done a number of projects with Train in the past regarding energy efficiency projects. Most recently, the interior lighting assessment and replacement across all district campuses. As part of that work, if you recall, Train also helped us and applied on our behalf for the CalShape grant. Part of that assessment was to get free installation of CO2 monitors for all classrooms. And as part of that, right, those CO2 monitors connect to our HVAC systems to get an assessment of HVAC units across the district. What are the most units in most need of replacement, the oldest of our units, et cetera. So for the 26-27 fiscal year, those grant funds only go so far. We anticipate having to replace additional HVAC units. And having Train having them do the assessment, they're very familiar with our units in which have recommended replacements. We are anticipating replacing a number of HVAC units across the district with our Train partner. John R. Byerly, he is a geotechnical testing and geological hazard assessment service provider. 51,000 to 150,000. Historically, a lot of our geotechnical testing and hazard assessments were incorporated into architects' costs. And often architects bill for those services and then we pay for architects' costs. We're looking at bifurcating some of these services and then utilizing John Byerly directly for geotechnical services. For example, a project we will use, Mr. Byerly, the Santa Fe High School pool project, which is a large-scale project, again, based on prior pool projects, again, in the $12 to $16 million range. That will require extensive geotechnical testing ahead of those projects. So we have used Byerly services on smaller projects in the past, but with large projects ahead, and then directly contracting with John Byerly for those geotechnical services as opposed to passing it through the architect.
Okay.
And then the next item that I want to.
May I ask a follow-up on Byron?
Sorry.
No problem, and thank you for that, Dr. Vieto. Mr. Chamorro, so am I to understand then that by bifurcating the geotechnical cost from the contract through the architecture firms, that will help minimize maybe the increase of the architect firm contracts, possibly, depending on inflation?
In those individual contracts, yes. However, with our Measure AA projects coming in such quick succession, more recently, we're actually doing more work with our architects on the last couple of years, so really project dependent. The architects base their cost on the total scope of the project. So the more expensive the project, the more expensive the architectural services. So that's a piece of, there will be great fluctuation year to year on architectural services depending on the size and number of projects that we're engaging in that particular fiscal year.
Understood, thank you.
I do have one more.
Yeah, the lunch assist, but I just want to say, part of the challenge is when we develop this graphic and the table of expenses in the 25-26 we're estimating, and today we reviewed that dollar amount for lunch assist, and it was actually 20,000, so it is a modest increase from 20,000 to 25,000. But Kevin, can you share what lunch assist does?
I have more detail on that as well. Historically, lunch assist provides us with all of our mandated training. It is an online training service for our nutrition services department. So coursework trainings come through Lunch Assist, and typically that's been in the smaller dollar amount, $5 to $9 million, or $5 to $9,000, not million. This year, when if you recall, we hired a new nutrition services director and new nutrition services manager. Those two new members of the management team actually approached, and back in September we took an additional contract for board approval for additional one-on-one consulting, coaching for those specific new management positions, and brought in a new component to it. So the original $8,500 that was on there was only reflecting last year's just the online training component. We have since added in a separate contract consulting services, one-on-one coaching, consulting services. I learned something through that period when we were without a nutrition services director, that I am not that one-on-one consultant when it comes to those particular services. So that was one I was approached by the new management team. We were looking to extend that coaching services again into next year. Hence, the original $8,500 only was providing the training, the online training components. Now, the $25,000 is really looking at providing both the training component and the additional consulting contract that we brought back to this board in September.
Got it. And I appreciate knowing that, because I know that came up in one of my conversations with CSEA. Mr. Rodriguez brought up the importance of learning new software for classified food nutrition employees at some of the sites. So if there's ongoing consultant and help that can be provided, I think that'll be much appreciated. Thank you.
And then the next item you mentioned was Rio Hondo Education Consortium also
Yes.
doing Business as Learn.
Mhm.
And that also, that was an error on column 25-26 annual estimated. To date, the amount spent for tutoring, in-class tutoring at Sierra Vista and Frontier High School using their equity multiplier money is $244,000. So that should be reflected in the 25-26 column with a modest increase to $255,000.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No. Can I just one more piece? I feel like I left off a piece that I think might be important for consideration. The lunch assist piece, since we were on that one, we did recently and in prior years receive kitchen infrastructure and training grant funding. So that particular consulting and coaching and training contract is funded by an external KID grant.
Oh, thank you for that.
Mr. Urtiega?
Thank you very much. Couple things. Again, I know this is the first time here with this district going through some of these items, and so I have to mirror our marriage, two things that I'm kind of used to, and then here how we do it here in Whittier Union. But a couple questions about this. Traditionally, do we have a lot of these that have TBD or no cost in there? Sometimes I don't feel comfortable voting on something that's no cost in there or projected even or something. Because especially when you're dealing with budget, I always like to look at this. I know sometimes we get in the weeds and we want to know, but for transparency, a lot of this stuff should be easy so our parents can understand it, because if they see the budgets and numbers, and sometimes things are not as transparent to parents. And so a couple things that might be helpful and food for thought are, which funds are these ones coming out of? I know which department they're coming out of, but maybe a column that says which funding the source of this is coming from, and then maybe some explanation of which, I know it has also like, let's say special education or recreation, but who's using it? Like, is it all schools? Is it just this particular school or this department? Something along those lines, just so we know which fund is being paid out of, and so that way we can justify, because we know there's restricted monies out there. So someone asks, well, why is we paying so much for this? Well, it can only be used for this. So it's helpful to explain to them with that. And so I think that, food for thought, I'm not sure how my colleagues feel about that, but sometimes with transparency, I always like to have documents and everything, so anybody should be able to pull it up, look at it, and be able to read it. I know counting numbers and document numbers are not the most sexiest thing to look at, or the most appealing thing to look at, if you want to call it that, but as best as we can, because it is part of our responsibility, making sure that we're providing information for our families to understand as well. So just food for thought of that. The other thing too is, I know we're coming out of time, but there's always budget crisis, and there are always budget things that we're going into negotiations, and so I know some of these are increased, and so have we made a commitment as a district to make a percentage cut on this? Because we're gonna be looking at, negotiations and things that are coming up, and if what are we doing to maybe curtail some of these costs and look, or do we have staff that can provide some of these services? I know some of them they can't, but are there internal things that can be done to look, what are the supports that we could do to help with some of these costs? Because there's some big numbers here, and I don't feel comfortable, voting on TBDs or unless there's an explanation that can be given on some of that stuff. We knew this was coming here, so I'm wondering why we have a TBD or no cost on some of these items. Because you had to have known there'd be a lot of questions. This is 38 pages, so just food for thought there. And the last thing I wanted to just touch upon kind of goes in words to the commitment or looking at some of our funding. We always we know operating district is expensive. It is expensive. The district, everyone knows it's expensive. There's a lot of things that happen. But when we are bringing something, when we look at any program or anything that costs money, we want to make sure is this the best use of our resources? Is there staff that could possibly utilize some of this? How are we getting feedback on how helpful it is to our, whether it's a program or who's it impacting? Is it only impacting a small chunk as opposed to the whole or the more mass? Because there's some big numbers out there, and and there's not really a, I guess, a little bit more to be helpful to look at seeing if these are the best costs for like, I mean, I wanna go into more, but for time consuming wise, just to make sure that this is something that's gonna be the most useful, because I know in the short time I've been here, there's been a few comments that, oh, we have budget crimes, we can't do this, we can't do that, but then I see this big giant document that has all these hundreds and hundreds, I mean, I guess it's probably millions of dollars a year if I combine them all. And so I've heard it kind of tied with budget cuts, and even if something as simple as things that, because PE, this is an educational facility, so professional development, training, those are things that we do here in the district. So even for things that, for school board members to go to PD or go to trainings, I'm getting, well, there were budget cuts, there's budget cuts, we can't, can't do that. But I'm looking at something like this, and so, you know, those are things that we just food for thought that we need to be aware about. And so if we have all this money, then we should be able to have as many resources that we can to provide the services, because PD and training, and especially for the things that would be helpful for our district is something that we need to make sure that we're staying on top of. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Urquiaga. I will just have one brief comment, and then I will let Dr. Oviedo respond to any of those specific comments. One thing that would be very helpful, and I think we've agreed to this as a part of our board protocol, is that we have questions about items on the agenda. If we could bring them to the superintendent as soon as possible so that she and her team can be best prepared to respond. But I appreciate the interest, of course, and we're all interested in the transparency and whatnot. And obviously this is a very big document. But I will just say that if we can all together work on letting the superintendent know if we've got these questions, so that she and her team can best be prepared to answer. But can you respond to Mr. Urquiaga?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is we have for the past year been involved in a budget review committee with all of our associations to review every aspect of the budget. And as is common in many districts, 76% of our budget is actually not in contracts, and that is in people and benefits, and so that's our largest portion. And so but some of the commitments out of the budget review committee has been a deep dive into our contracts, and this all falls under contracts and services. The area that you see that's tied to TBD is for food. So one of the things that Whittier Union does pride itself is we don't do very much at all professional learning with consultants, but we do provide a very robust professional learning for classified and certificated staff, and as part of that process with them being here, we do provide food. And so what you're seeing with the TBD will be reflective of all of the different high schools. They absolutely have to live within their budget, and their budgets have, yes, been reduced by, I believe, 20%. Additionally, we have reduced travel and conference. So again, it doesn't fall within here, but throughout the year, you're going to see that travel, and you already have seen it in the travel and conference, much more virtual, as well as staying local. We're not allowing, unless there is a requirement for there to be attendance at a conference out of the area as part of a grant, then we are, as long as there's a local option, we're having our staff go to the local option as opposed to travel around the conference. So yes, we have been working on those. I think that your ideas for how to continue to evolve this document will be very helpful, and we can unpack that with our cabinet and our principals to continue to make this even better for the future.
Can I have another comment?
Yes, and yes, Mr. Urquiaga, of course, yes.
Is there anyone else?
I have a comment, but I'll wait till you're done and after Mr. Lopez. But let's go with Mr. Urquiaga's second.
Thank you for that. See, I'm still learning the protocols here, so nothing on purpose. So yeah, I do agree that we don't want any, I'm not a gotcha person, so you'll learn that. And this wasn't intended to be a gotcha on that, but again, and you're gonna see it part as long as I'm on this board. I wanna make sure that things that we do here and the documents, a parent sitting in their home pulls it up online or has it in their hand can understand what we're doing, because we're accountable to the community and parents, so the documents that we have should be easily accessible and understandable. So their questions are going to be TBD, see that, so they're going to, first questions are, what is that, what is that? So I do make a commitment, I will not do any gotchas and do something, that's not my style, definitely not. But that's the reason why I asked
certain types of questions because I am accountable to the community and I want to make sure that they understand.
I appreciate that too. Mr. Lopez.
Thank you. And to the transparency and to make folks understand a little bit more, I suggest that we just note it if it's a one-time kind of expense. Mr. Chamero and Superintendent Oviedo, and just for folks to know, hey, yeah, it did jump, but it's for just one time thing. So, and I thank, of course, Trustee Gallegos for bringing that issue to everyone. But maybe that's an issue we can solve by tagging it as a one time. Maybe others have a better solution, but that's my suggestion. Thanks.
Thank you. I did have one sort of question, and it has to do, it's under security services, and it's for the city of Whittier and the county of Los Angeles. So it appears for our school resource officers in our high schools that are within the city of Whittier, it looks like the costs are staying the same, from $600,000 to the same $600,000 for next year. And then county of Los Angeles is staying the same at $525,000 this year and $525,000 next year. Do we know, I mean, Whittier covers 3 schools and the sheriffs cover 2. Is there a way to see if we can get that reduced from the county, or would the city of Whittier be able to provide that service at our other schools, even though they are in the county of Los Angeles jurisdiction? Because it does seem like, I mean, it's still a lot of money, $200,000 per school resource officer. But it looks like the county of Los Angeles deputies cost way more, at $250,000 each when you look at that contract. Is that even viable? That is to say, can you have the city of Whittier cover any of those schools that are not within the city of Whittier jurisdiction?
First, I would like to say that this doesn't reflect what we've been hearing in the news about Whittier's, City of Whittier PD and the significant increase in raises that they are saying. So I would want to come back. This is a minimum, a floor. With both, I would want to come back once I've been able to talk to Mr. McNamara about what we anticipate as far as the rates go. And then my second, I would be very cautious to go away from Los Angeles County Sheriffs for those and have a conversation. There are jurisdiction issues between LA County Sheriffs and the City of Whittier. I would also say that the Sheriffs is a larger department, and so although I appreciate, I live in Whittier, I appreciate the services that the City of Whittier provides. We have noticed that when we have had some particular incidents like the bomb threat, that is something that only, the sophistication that exists with LA Sheriff is much higher than Whittier PD. And so that in those situations, it's been very helpful to have the sheriffs come in. I think for your second part, so all of that to say, I think that we need to go back and ensure that our dollars reflect, understand this is probably a floor, but that we can anticipate that there may be an increase in both of those. So I would want to come back to that. And then secondly, as far as asking for the city, if I correctly hear, asking the City of Whittier and or the sheriffs to reduce their rate, or did I miss?
The question is there a more cost-effective way of providing it, whether it's the sheriff or the City of Whittier? I mean, because look, when you look at it, the City of Whittier is $200,000 per officer, and the county is $250,000 per officer. So that's sort of the question. And then, of course, now Santa Fe Springs going to their own, but that's still 2 years away.
There's also a difference in that the City of Whittier only provides an officer for 4 days a week. And the school day doesn't change. So although the officer may be on for 10 hours a day times 4, he's not necessarily, they're not serving Whittier Union at that time, as opposed to the sheriff, which is a 5-day a week.
Well, that's good to know. So is it 4 days, 10 hours, and 5 days is
I don't
8
believe
hours?
that, I do not believe that the Whittier PD is on a campus for 10 hours.
Well, then maybe we need to look at that one too. Okay, so,
Madam President,
yes.
if I
Yes,
may,
of course.
maybe food for thought here. I know Redondo does have a police department. If we can explore some options, maybe look into Redondo as well.
So let me get the temperature on our board. Are we prepared to approve this item tonight, or does the board want some more information?
I'm prepared to approve this item tonight, and I really appreciate this discussion that we've had.
All right, Mr. Murdiaga?
I mean, it sounds like some of you want clarification. I mean, is there time sensitive for this?
They certainly need to be approved before the new fiscal year. Yes.
I don't have an issue approving them, knowing that we're going to come back with some of that information and we can have followed up, so that we can get some of these squared away, and then maybe we end up requesting, can we get a follow-up on, let's take a look at some of the items, and we can each speak to the superintendent about that, hey, we want an update on these 5 contracts or whatever.
Maybe our board president could use her power of persuasion to work with our new city council to ask for a hometown discount, and we can get that 50, like buy tires, buy more to get the 5th one free.
Well, as a matter of fact,
So-
I'm reading my mind, because I kept thinking to myself, what happens when the SRO is absent? Does that mean, do we get nobody? Do they backfill it? Do they send somebody else instead? Because I don't want to be paying for somebody for 4 days and they're there. So yes, thank you. I will be in that discussion because we need 100% coverage, so.
Well, if that's the
But that's
case,
another issue.
if that's the case, if we need someone there 100% of the time, and we're not getting that, why can't we just have, in the interim, maybe negotiate that item specifically?
Well, I think what we have to do here is approve the budgetary amount, because we need schools, we need.
Right.
reserves. You can't negotiate that kind of a change in less than the next 6 weeks.
Because it's probably gonna be additional, if we get that 50, it's gonna be more, so it'll be an amendment to what we approve here, so.
Right, or we're lucky and they keep it very close.
Yeah, well, that'll be even better, yeah, if there, but most likely.
But I do think we need to approve these contracts, knowing that we're all, that we have, I think we're gonna have to have a meeting with you, Dr. Romero, individually, to say which are the ones we'd like to see come back with some more information. So let's make that the request. So I do have a motion by, I think it was Mr. Lopez, seconded by Dr. Castaneda Calleros, to approve item 12.04. I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, so let me go to item number 12.06. I pulled that item because, as I've shared with my fellow colleagues, I do some work for WUHSD College, and so I would like to have this pulled. I can still preside as an officer, but I cannot vote on this matter, but that's the reason it was pulled. I don't know if anyone would like to make a motion to approve 12.06.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Urtiaga, seconded by Ms. Conchola. Any questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I abstained, so 401. For that same reason, I pulled item 12.07 because it's also a contract agreement with Whittier College. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Castaneda Calleros, seconded by Mr. Lopez. Any discussion? All right, without further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And 1 abstention, so passes 4-0 with me abstaining. And then Dr. Castaneda Calleros had pulled item 12.09. Do I have a motion to approve so we can have a discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Conchola, seconded by Mr. Urtiaga. I'll yield the floor to you, Dr. Castaneda Calleros, for your questions.
Thank you. This will be much more brief than 12.04, I promise. I just wanted to commend staff for all their work on completing these projects, which are going to benefit Lucerna High School, Pioneer High School, and Whittier High School. It's 3 different trustee areas within our district. And I really am grateful for the future, for the students that are going to benefit from these projects, especially the roof repair at Felix Lopez Auditorium, which is used by not only all 5 schools and of course our district partners, and then of course our KA district partners as well. I just wanted to thank staff for this and highlight this for the community. Thank you very much.
That's wonderful. Any other comments by anybody else? Seeing no comments, I'll call the question. All in favor on item 12.09, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, now I think we get to move to item number 13. 1301, consider approval of 7 new courses of study, our first reading. Dr. O'Neill.
And to share a little bit about the process and the courses and the impact to students, Mrs. Bozigian.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight we bring forward 7 new courses of study as a first read. These courses span CTE, special education, social studies, and visual and performing arts. These courses were vetted by our subject area curriculum improvement teams and recommended for approval. The ethnic studies courses in special education and in social studies ensure that we fulfill our commitment to the state ethnic studies requirement. After any questions you may have, we respectfully request that these courses be placed on the consent calendar for the June 9th board meeting.
And I apologize, Ms. Bozigian, but did you describe the process by which we came to these course descriptions?
Yes, the curriculum course teams, our teachers wrote the courses of study and they were presented to their subject area course curriculum teams.
So were these special ed teachers who wrote the curriculum?
Correct.
And then what other teams were they working with in terms of the subject matter expertise by the teachers?
They worked with our ethnic studies teachers and then they were vetted by the department chairs, followed by our APCs and our principals.
I apologize, I spoke out of turn as a chair, I go last, so my apologies. Mr. Lopez.
Yeah, thank you. I do have a question on the culinary arts 3. How many in total are there?
There are 3. This is our capstone course.
Okay.
So you have your foundational,
Right.
your culinary 2, and now our culinary 3.
And the culinary 3 is replacing professional baking, and there are 2 courses, 0 period and 1st period, of students who take culinary baking.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, it's replacing professional?
That's my understanding in speaking to Mr. Mead, the art.
They are changing the course of study.
Did the kids really like the baking?
It provides the certification.
All right, Dr. Casanera-Calleros.
Oh, thank you very much. I spoke to Dr. Oviedo about this earlier. I just wanted to commend the teachers and the leads who have worked on these courses, Ms. Bozigian, and also at some point, it doesn't have to be in the near future, but at some point down the road, I think it would be ideal to get some type of report, maybe establishing a baseline and then looking in the future at to what extent taking these ethnic studies courses contributes to their academic success. And you can look at whatever indicators make the most sense, whether it's course completion, GPA, A through G rates, and then compare them to students that did not take ethnic studies courses. And I know that with the new law coming in, I think all freshmen have to take courses in ethnic studies, but I would just like to know what are we looking at in terms of student success outcomes down the road. So wanted to see if you could
Okay, I think we can do that.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. And all of these courses, because of the requirement, qualify for the requirement without the requirement.
And the requirement is that a student must take 1 semester of ethnic studies during the course of their high school experience.
Very good. Thank you.
I was going to comment that as much as I do think a baking class is awesome, because I love eating baked goods, when I look at the food preparation in this ethnic studies course, this is incredible. So you have North America, where you've got New England clam chowder, South, hush puppies, Tex-Mex, chili, Midwest casseroles, the Pacific Northwest, and then you get to Mexico and Central America, masa, mole, pupusas, empanadas. I think the kids will really end up liking this course, given all the different exposure they're going to get to those fields. This looks incredible.
Thank you, I will share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have a curiosity question. I know that we have to implement AB 101, but I also heard that there was not going to be any resources available to the state. So how are we approaching that? Or
We actually did have funding from the state and a variety of the LCFF money that has come to us. I think that candidly, that's an argument made by other districts as a way to avoid having to implement the course of study. But we are really pleased with the work that our teachers have done. Embedding it into courses that students already take is actually what was intended rather than a standalone course. So
And it is blended within their core content. So we have a standalone ethnic studies, but it's also blended within their core content.
And just for the record, I am a total believer in ethnic studies. I've seen the impact that it has had on students that are taking some of the Puente Ethnic Studies courses. And so I'm really glad that we're, really building on this area. So thank you for
Hats
that.
off to our teachers providing these courses.
One last question on this Plus Leadership Program. Tell us a little bit about the history about how this course came to be, because it's fascinating when you read this description, but it's something very different than I've not seen before.
So California, this is brought to us by California High School and their administration. They went to a conference, they sat in the conference, and they saw all of the different leadership skills that our kids can implement. So this course is created to work seamlessly with ASB, and they go out, these students go out, and they research, they're almost like the influencers at California High School. They're going out, they're getting the information and bringing it back to ASB in order for them to implement any kind of program that they want for our students based on student need. Whatever the students want, ASB can then implement it. So they're working in tandem.
And I would just add, it's part of what's called the YPAR, the Youth Participatory Action Research, and that's actually something that we're hearing more and more about. It's often embedded in an ethnic studies course, but it's also part of the seal for civic engagement.
Correct.
Students are involved in more action research, both the community at their local level, on issues of concern for themselves.
Can I share just a piece of information? During the summer, Puente is going to be offering a 3-day ethnic studies curriculum for teachers and other educators and even community. And there's some scholarships available, so if some of our folks are interested, so that it wouldn't cost the district money for them to attend. So
Thank you.
So as I understand it, there's no action required. This will come back then for a first reading next month? Okay. All right, any other questions before we move to our item 13.02? All right, let me move to 13.02, Woodbury Union High School District Athletics re-leading. I believe Sean, Mr. Stewart is going to make the presentation. I'm super excited to learn about this because we've been hearing a lot about it, so.
Thank you so much. Yes, re-leaguing in sports, it's what I love. We're going to break this down today in 5 different parts, just to give you guys a heads up. We're going to actually talk about CIF and the re-leaguing process. It's something I learned about with Ann Fitzgerald, as well as the Foothill area and the outcomes. On the bottom.
They look great.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
No worries. The Foothill area and the outcome of what we did, we're actually going to talk about the impact for us and why we actually re-lead. A little bit of House of Cards right there you'll learn about. Data and planning, and then we'll talk about the now, actually what we're doing. So the purpose of re-leaguing that CIF does every 4 years is to ensure fair competition. So they look at their criteria as enrollment, student population. We look at geography, travel distances, and then competitive equity, balanced athletic competition. And the timeline is 26 to 30. That's what we currently are doing. So we just finished re-leaguing. We're going to jump in to our new league, and we start the process all over again next year, slowly but surely. But the key piece, it's really about fair competition. And so there's two phases. One is area placement, and schools get assigned to geographic locations. They can appeal that piece, but I'll use a prime example. San Luis Obispo, when I coached, was actually in the southern section. They have moved now, and now they are in the central section. Just because you had a CIF game, Downey High would travel to San Luis Obispo for a 45-minute water polo game. That was not fun on transportation costs, nor pulling kids out of class at 10 a.m. for a 3 p.m. game. So that's that one piece. Long Beach Unified, they're actually in the coastal division. So they're not in the foothill division. They're just right down the 605. So there's area placement. From area placement, once there's no appeals, then we go to the re-leaguing. And that is where basically areas can begin after March 3rd, which we did, if there's no area placement appeals. And we start working that piece. So our re-leaguing area is our foothill area, and we'll go over that in just a few minutes. But the key piece, 2 phases. Once everyone's in their area, citrus, coastal, foothill, then we go into the re-leaguing process. And there's some guidelines. Obviously, the Robert Rules of Order with a designated parliamentarian. We had Mr. Liggett. He was our parliamentarian for the foothill area. He was awesome. He sat actually right there and was very polite yet firm, which I really loved. And then we have our proposal process. And every school in the 55 schools in the foothill area were represented, and every league could submit 2 proposals of what they would like. In addition, every school can offer 1 proposal. So if you had some schools in a league, maybe the Del Rio League, you had El Rancho, which we'll get into that in a minute, and our schools in the Whittier Union, we had 2 different proposals coming out of our area. The key piece, every proposal had to have all 55 schools in it. So you were literally placing schools where you think was best. And then we went to the voting. And basically, it went several rounds. Every school got 1 vote. Lowest proposal with the least amount of votes got knocked off the board. And even when there was a tie with 0-0, someone wanted to knock off 2 schools or 2 proposals, and the parliamentarian knocked that off right away, said we have to follow our rules, which was great. So that's sort of the guidelines and the procedures of that. Now we're going to talk about the foothill area, and that's where we're at right now with Whittier Union High School. So we started this back in May of 2024. We had our very first meeting. We brought 55 principals and or ADs into this room. We hosted it for us, and we actually just started to get to know each other. We went over the process. We talked, CIF came and chatted with us as well, which was a great thing. And we went over the step-by-step procedures of what it would take to re-league. In November 2024, we let everyone leave for the summer. A lot of whispering was going on. In 2024, everyone came back, and we went over the rules once again. And then we started having conversations of what it would look like to re-league. If certain schools were not happy, we started to talk about declining enrollment in a few schools, about travel, competitive equity, and what had happened was it allows schools to work together to start building those relationships, to start building leagues. And remember the foothill area, which we'll go over a little bit, it starts in Santa Clarita, and it goes all the way to Linwood. So it was a good opportunity for everyone to come. We went to our main meeting with May of 2025. That is when the voting happened. And once again, I was very impressed. Not only every school was represented that day, the press came, live Twitter was going on. It was pretty intense. People were very respectful with one another. But if you've seen House of Cards and high school athletics, that's what happened that day. It was quite interesting. Once we got our final proposal done, they could appeal it by August 5th. No one appealed the proposals, and CIF just recently approved it this year in October. So those were sort of the timelines from there. But about the Foothill area, if you do not know, our CIF Foothill Executive Council member is Ms. Fitzgerald. I was the chairman to help her out. But currently in the Foothill, and that's what we're doing this year, we have 9 established leagues going on. We have 55 schools in our area. And that's from the 605 to the Almont, all the way down to the Rio Hondo. And we only have 1 conference as of right now. That's the Suburban Valley Conference, and that is the Gateway League and the Mid-Cities League. But the previous releaguing was actually happened in 2020, and that's when the Suburban Valley Conference established itself. That was a very rough year, obviously because of the pandemic. The releaguing actually happened via Zoom, and one of our former principals of California High School ran that releaguing with Ms. Fitzgerald, and that was Bill Schloss. And so that was our first attempt. The Suburban Valley Conference was the only proposal on the floor that year in 2020. And then once again, I mentioned it, in 2025, we had 6 main proposals. We actually had more than 6, but numerous proposals with the exact same proposal. But we had 6 separate proposals. And once again, the school range was Santa Clarita to Linwood. Now, in Orange County, if you notice, they have a huge super conference with their entire Orange County conference. When that brought, and it was for football, they brought that up to the Foothill area, and it was instantly, no one wanted to go to Santa Clarita for a frost-off football game on a Friday at 3:15, right? And so we ex-nayed that right away on that, and we went with actually this is where we're at right now. Those are all the leagues if you look at it, and we have the 605 Almont, Del Rio, Foothill area, which gets confusing. Mission Valley, Pacific League, Rio Hondo, and that Suburban Valley Conference. To what got voted on in that meeting was the outcome. We now have 3 conferences and 1 league. We have the Rio Pacific Conference. We have the MAC-12, Metro Alliance Conference. We have the Suburban Valley Conference, and then we have the Seoul Foothill League out by Magic Mountain area with Hart. Within every conference, are 3 of them, there are numerous leagues. We have 4 leagues for the Suburban Valley Conference. We are the SEC of the San Gabriel Valley. That's the way we look at it. Maybe not as powerful, but we're pretty dang good. And so that's how we landed. But the big piece is the impact. And that's sort of the third point. Moving to a conference is definitely, there was a lot of conversations from there. And before we even got to this, we had numerous conversations with all the schools in the Suburban Valley Conference, as well as that MAC-12. It was very interesting. If you remember Pioneer High School, when they won their CIF championship, they actually, in football, they beat San Gabriel High School. For the first half of the game, it was myself and the principal of San Gabriel High School talking about the releaguing process. Those are the relationships that we were building right there that worked one another. But there are some benefits. I cannot stress enough about the benefits of competitive equity. I cannot stress that our kids will compete and have an opportunity to win championships. We are going to reduce travel costs and time for student athletes because, yes, we are going to be traveling to maybe Linwood, which is 15 miles away from Whittier High School. Working with other schools, we can adapt game start time now so kids limit the amount of time they get out of class, which is a bonus, based on officials and usage of facilities. Meaningful rivalries will still happen for most sports, and then the community connections. And what does that mean for community connections? It's going to be really awesome when our APC from Cal High is meeting with La Mirada's APC because they're both both supervising girls volleyball, and now they're talking about SBAC testing, right? That's a great piece. The second piece was this was a great opportunity to speak to parents about the re-leaguing process. I had the opportunity to speak at Santa Fe's future Sentinel Night, as we would call, right? That would be the correct name now. And it was a great opportunity to explain to them that, yes, you will still get to see Pioneer High School. You still get to see Whittier High School and Cal High School. It might not be a league game, but you will still have an opportunity to compete against your cousin, against your friend from middle school. We did have some considerations. Potential changes to traditional matchups. Next year will be the first year there will not be a Cal-Lucerna football game. Not because they did not want to, they are not in the same league. They would have to be a preseason game, and both schools had contracts already locked in, so they could not play. But both coaches, Coach George and Coach Winchell, want to play, and they will get back on the schedule again. Yes, transportation and scheduling adjustments. We have one of the best director of transportations around, and she has taken it to the next level and met with other director of transportations within this conference, already talking about transportation and what it will look like. But yes, we are going to have to make some scheduling adjustments. Later games, back-to-back games, girls volleyball, frosh off, and JV will play side to side, so varsity can play right afterwards. And then once again, community engagement, talking to families, to making sure they're aware of this new league and what it looks like. Because parents are gonna ask, why is my kid going to La Mirada to play a game? Or why are they going out to Firebaugh High School or Mayfair High School, Bellflower High School? So it's getting out there with our athletic directors and our coaches and talking to our parents in our parent meetings, our mandatory parent meetings that we like to have with all of our parents, and explaining what this new league and conference. And then last but not least, our next steps. We got to prepare for any necessary operational adjustments. Following in Steve Rodriguez's footsteps are going to be extremely hard because he has our facilities top notch when it comes to athletic facilities. And I've learned a lot from them, but now setting up when it comes to maintenance on our facilities. We have now, 5 different school districts. That means 5 different spring breaks. Luckily, we have some amazing scheduling people in our conference that have adapted it so our kids will not have to play in spring break, and we have adjusted game schedules from there. And then operational adjustments when it comes to the Constitution and so forth. But the real thing is I want to know why this happened and how. Well, the biggest thing was El Rancho submitted to us that they would like to leave the league based on competitive equity. They're scared of big bad Lucerna up on the hill, which I giggled about. And so they wanted to withdraw from our league, which would only leave us with 4 teams. And I had a long talk with their athletic director, I had a long talk with their principal, and I definitely understood from their perspective. But leaving us with 4 teams would decrease the amount of playoff spots. And if a school did not have a varsity team, we'd only have 3 teams, which means we would not have a league. So having El Rancho leave and wanting to leave definitely made us start looking around. So we looked at different options. And like I said, that's when the house of cards really came in. People started talking to other leagues, started talking to other teams, and what we ended up doing was we pulled in all of our principals, had great conversations at our principal meetings about expectations, all of our AP DNAs, all of our athletic directors, and we all got on the same page and started talking about our wants and our needs. And one of our biggest wants was competitive equity. That was our biggest piece. So we looked at different options. The Suburban Valley Conference actually, when I talked to them about Lucerna maybe going over there for competitive equity, they dropped that bomb on us saying, no, we don't want Lucerna, we want everyone. We would like the whole Del Rio League to come to us. And then the second conversation was, and we would like the 605 League as well. So they approached us, they pitched that to us, and their number one thing they talked about was competitive equity. It would allow to have 20 teams, which would create 4 leagues. And if you think about it, 4 leagues on a standard playoff, 20 teams, that would equal 12 playoff spots. That means 12 out of our 20 teams would have opportunities to go compete in CIF playoffs, which is a huge piece. And once again, the goal was competitive equity and to maximize the number of playoff spots. And then we looked at database decisions, right? Because we're Whittier Union, and we look at data, and one thing Tim Liggett has taught me is we look at the numbers a lot. And so we really started to break down what did that look like. So we looked at enrollment, and what enrollment looked at for all 20 schools. We started talking about competitive equity. What leagues have done really well? What teams have gone to playoffs and done very, very successful? And then we looked at who has what teams and how many levels. So if you look at right now, girls flag football, they had 150 girls tryout at Lucerna High School. They can run 3 levels. Well, so can Cal High, so can Downey High, Warren High. There's numerous schools that have numerous levels. Some of our smaller schools run 2 levels, right? Which we can still have girls play, which is a great thing. We also looked at girls wrestling. We have Santa Fe that has a powerhouse wrestling team, as well as like Mayfair. So when you go into a conference, it allows you to play so many different teams. It becomes competitive equity, teams and levels all come to play. And then our biggest piece is transportation, right? Traveling around. And so myself and Mark Rand, he's the athletic director at Downey High. He called me on a Friday afternoon. In spring, baseball didn't start till 3 p.m., so we had a little bit of window. And we got on Google Maps and Waze, and we started Googling every single mileage from every school and how much it would cost and the hours it would take. And we went through it. And so if you look at one of like the longest ones, I think it's Whittier to Firebaugh, it's 15 miles. And then Karen from Transportation, Torres, she even had some of her bus drivers started driving those routes to see how long it would take to help us out from there. So we looked at a lot of data. We started talking to coaches from that standpoint as well. We started talking about our teachers who are coaches. If you do not know, an average of 73% of our coaches are walk-on. That means over 20% are teachers. So if our teachers are being pulled from class, we started looking at that, how that would affect classroom and instruction as well. And what we landed on was this, the super conference, as everyone started to call it. And so we have 20 teams, everywhere from Artesia down to Whitney High School, that is now part of it. We have developed, So from there, we had to decide the planning phase. We had 20 teams, we were voted, everyone wanted our votes. Every proposal that was submitted had us together because we were the powerhouse of 20 teams, so they wanted to make us happy. So then we had to plan everything. And over the last year, or even summer of last year, 20 athletic directors, as well as principals, three times I believe, got together and we started addressing major concerns. Who's filling on what sports next year? We looked at leadership and administrative frameworks such as supervision, medical, transportation, constitutions, sportsmanship, and then we started to go into who gets to go into what leagues. And we use this criteria, it's 80-20, it's really about 75-25, and we started to use the power rankings of CIF, 20 to 25% from 24-25, and then this year we take 75 to 80% from this year, and that gets your power number, and that's how we looked into leagues. So once you have a power number for you, we started putting fall sports into specific leagues, we started creating schedules, we started to look at our constitution, and then we rinse and repeat, and we do that for winter and in spring. Spring's been the hardest because of spring break. Winter was really interesting, and basketball season is crazy in the winter, but how we have it scheduled is when varsity is home, both girls and boys are home. When they're on the road, they could be at 2 separate schools, they're on the road. But we really started to work for supervision purposes to make sure it was great. We landed into 4 leagues, the Gateway League, the Mid-Cities League, the Rio Vista League, and the 605 League. We did not use the Del Rio League. We felt that was something special. We did not want to use it in the conference. and you never know when we could go back to that league and put something together, and it was sort of historic. So we went with something new for that. And then
You know, Pac-12 you're talking about? Okay.
And then to give you a little sneak peek, these are league examples based on that criteria. If you look at football now, the top league would be Downey, Lucerna, Mayfair, Warren, La Mirada, and Cerritos. If you look at girls volleyball, Downey, Cerritos, Lucerna, Warren, and Gar. You'll start noticing a theme a little bit on a few sports. All the way down from first league, second league, third league, and fourth league. Once again, these leagues are based on that power number that we've come up with over 2 years of data on how that looks. So next year will be a lot different. Scheduling has been a little crazy, but with 20 athletic directors in the room, it's been awesome at the same time. Thank you.
Well, Sean, thank you so much. I'm a huge sports fanatic, for those who don't know. I know Mr. Lopez and I share that. But let me open it up to questions first from my colleagues.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Castaneda Calles.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. You answered almost all of mine during the course of your presentation, so that's a testament to your preparation.
Thank you.
And I just have one. On the league slide, I guess this would be slide 14, when you talk about the Gateway League, Mid-Cities League, Rio Vista League, and 605 League. Earlier, you mentioned that up to 12 of the 20 schools in the conference could be eligible for postseason, right? Is that what I understood?
Yes.
Yeah. So is there any sort of rule stating that when you look at these 4 leagues, that a certain number have to come from each league, or is it like at large? So I just wanted to...
It does. So if you look, we'll use prime example. So football, as you know, is a big driving force. And with 5 teams in football, the rule at CAF, you only get two berths, unless you apply for an at-large. But once you move to 6, you get 3. So that was a big point of trying to have 16 leagues for football. But in girls volleyball, girls soccer, and boys basketball, with a 5-team league, you still get 3 bids per league. So if you look at girls volleyball, Downey, Cerritos, and Lucerna could go, Whitney, Santa Fe, Norwalk can go, Mayfair, Artesia, and Firebach could go, and Cal, Linwood, and Pioneer all can make playoffs based on their leagues. The second piece is CIF does have an at-large bid. You have to be 500, your schedule has to be at least a 500 win record to put in for an at-large. So now scheduling your preseason becomes very selective. And then the last piece is you do not know what division you are in CIF until your very end. And it's based on now power rankings. So, and then last but not least, what I did not mention, we do have relegation every year. So relegation is, if Cerritos comes last in that football league, they drop down a league. Whoever's first in that second league would move up a league. And that is every year, not every other year. So relegation every year. So we took the professional soccer model and we wanted to make it a little fair as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
Opposite of relegation is promotion.
Yes, and you go up. Thank you.
Any other questions before I ask you? Mr. Ortega?
Thank you very much. Excuse me. So I'm glad you had that slide up there. So as I go through and just look at our 5 schools and see how they're dispersed down there and they're in different areas, do you have any, I don't know, explanation or maybe your thoughts on some of our schools continuously are in one bracket and then some of them are continuously down the bottom. They're all 5 schools within the same district and resources and things that are available. Any reason why you think that is?
So enrollment plays a big role. Having the selection out of 3,000 students compared out of 800 or 900 students, that plays a role. But at the same piece is I look at Pioneer football. That might be in the lower level, but won a CIF championship. And so Martin Flirt, my old principal that hired me and used to be our superintendent, he always said, you know, demographics doesn't create destination. And so my big piece is, I think any one of those schools can move up the level based on a good year, a little bit of luck on athletics coming through, and solid coaching. So I definitely think there's opportunities for kids to move up, or teams to move up, based on it. And it's really weird because what I notice is girls basketball is not up there. Pioneer High School has the smallest population, but they are a powerhouse in girls basketball. But unfortunately, this year they took a little bit of hit because of the transfer rule. And 2 girls transferred to 2 other schools. Unfortunately, with AAU basketball, we lost 2 of our better players. They ended up at Troy and somewhere else, and they took a little bit of a hit this year. So I think, to answer your question, I definitely feel that, is there a reason why? Yeah, athletes. I think there's athletes at every school. It's now keeping them at that school, developing them, having our coaches, longevity of coaching plays a big role as well. And I think we're doing a better job of keeping them on board.
And there's other continued supports for those schools. And that's only one year snapshot, that's not 10 years or trend, so it might be a little different, but are there, because you're the district athletic director, correct? Okay, good, so you support the other 5 at the sites, and then you provide any training resources for their coaches, or is there?
100%. So we use NFHS Learn as part of our online training program that coaches go through. We definitely have coaching PDs, bringing coaches in. We do that on site as well for you. And then over the recent years, we've done a Women in Sport Academy for our athletes, as well as a sport leadership program. And then the 20 coaches in a room for a preseason meeting, those conversations are huge, as well as sort of our in-house own professional development. And then I would say coaches learn from each other, and a lot of coaches go to clinics, and we really push that and encourage that for our coaches to go as well. But the day, and Mr. Liggett and I were just talking about this, the day of coaching 3 months and then that's it, that's not the standard norm anymore. Coaches are coaching now year round, sharing athletes a little bit more as well. And so I think more games under their belt, more development they do, I think teams will soar. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. Very, very, very informative. And thank you for your consideration or seeing all angles that you presented. Thank you for that. One angle that I believe it's missing, I understand the impact that it has when Lucerna, say for example, plays Cal High. You get thousands and thousands of people at those games, especially when there's a playoff. They're competing for a playoff spot, right? That's gonna, in my opinion, if they don't play each other, it's gonna take a hit on the fundraising.
100%.
Right? So, for example, this year, they're not gonna play, right? And I'm just wondering if they thought about that kind of impact.
They did, and we really actually tried to move a few games and get out of some contracts.
Right.
Unfortunately, Cal was locked in on a 2-year deal on all 5. We got rid of one Lucerna game. We could have made it work, but unfortunately, the team that Cal High was playing that year, it would not have been smart to upset CIF to try to get out of the contract. But things about fundraising we did talk about. Being a district stadium, Mr. Fernandez at Santa Fe and I have chatted about this as well. It's no longer having a home and away. If you're at home, you get 100% of the gate. We would like to see those rivalry games go into, you get your own gate. So when you play each other every year, you're getting those funds every single year. When it was a league competition and they were saying in the same league, when it was your home game, you got the gate. So you only got those funds every 2 years. But in our mindset of an former ASB director and APNA, you make money, you spend money on the kids that are there right there, right? You don't want to hold that over. And so when you're only getting it every other year, you're holding over. So we're looking at ways when we do start playing each other, to do that separate for gates, so it definitely plays a role. That's part one. Part two, it's time to sort of step up other sports. I would love to see our girls flag football team become a crosstown rival, boys basketball, girls basketball, especially since we do play home. When both teams are home, we love to see that, to bring in some gate receipts to help out with that as well. And we also, you know, we do have La Mirada in that league, which is really great. Santa Fe and Pioneer did not lose that rival. They will still play, I believe, 0 week or maybe week 3 this year coming up off the top of my head. So we're excited to see that as well. But that was a big piece, is gate. Cal Lucerna gate, you can't top that. We would usually sometimes back in the day sell out that stadium. So hopefully we'll bring that in again as well. If the superintendent lets me do a powder puff game against Cal Lucerna, which, you know, I would really love that as well. Just joking, we would never do that. Thank you.
Any questions, Ms. Control?
Thank you. Yeah, very elaborate. I can see how much energy and work you took to get us here, so thank you for the information.
Thank you.
So I have a few questions, very easy. Where did El Rancho end up?
So they're in that MAC 12.
So they're not in our conference?
They're not even in our conference. We asked them to come with us, and they did not want to have any, and we have really great relationships, really great. I mean, the principal of El Rancho, we stole his son to be our tennis coach at Whittier. And so we have great relationships with them. They just wanted to start something new, and so they moved to the MAC 12. Before the MAC 12, it was 6 of them trying to steal 4 of our schools. With some undercover meetings, which we stopped really quick, and so that's where they landed.
Where is Oxford Academy?
Oxford Academy is actually the only Orange County team based in Cypress. They're part of the 605 League, currently part of the 605 League. They do not have football. They have, it's definitely a smaller school. They're part of the
Anaheim Union High School
Anaheim,
District,
yes.
and they are equivalent to Whitney High School. It's a top academy program, or Troy Magnet.
And then similarly, Mayfair, I was thinking to myself, is that Pasadena all-girls private school, but obviously it has a football team.
It's the Monsoons right there in Bellflower area.
And then when I look at the mascots, if you can turn to that particular page, you saw the picture of all the mascots. Who's the W with the bear?
Warren High,
That's Warren. Okay. I think I figured the rest of them.
home of Miss Stewart, my mom went there. Of course, I went to Downey, but it's okay.
Those were my questions, Mr. Stewart. Thank you so much. I share my colleagues' sentiments. We appreciate the enthusiasm, the knowledge. And I guess we'll be getting the football schedules pretty soon for the fall, right?
It is, yes.
For all the fall sports, so we can see and go and compete and support our students.
Yes, a really big thank you to Ann Fitzgerald. She sits on the CIF Council and guided me through this process, and Tim Liggett as well, who is my parliamentarian, who literally dropped the hammer a few times at that meeting, and I couldn't say thank you enough. And then Dr. Oviedo, who met with numerous superintendents during this process, and had some great conversations with Downey Unified. That really, really helped us out as well. So it was definitely a team effort for Whittier Union.
Well, thank everybody. Thank you again.
I want to say thank you to Mr. Stewart. I know when this process started, there are a lot of feelings, and change isn't easy. And I think you did a remarkable job. I think your relationship building paid off, I think, with the relationships that you had with the other districts, and then having an idea, like, let's bring them all together. Let's give them some nachos.
Yes.
No one ever got nachos before. They kept coming, we're coming back for the nachos. It's great. But it was amazing because when we had 3 or 4 different representatives of the news organizations here, but there were so many people here, and everybody was represented. And I think by the time we got to the point where the very first meetings where everybody was a little nervous about each other and what if we get put someplace, to the very end where people were high-fiving, and even after the decision was made, all those conversations started talking about, okay, when's our next meeting, when's our next meeting? So I think, Sean, you just did a tremendous job. It was stressful. Monica, we were all up here that day. It was really stressful watching the process at the beginning, but I thank you for your leadership.
I appreciate it.
All come together.
Thank you. I'm excited. We're excited next year. we're really excited. I'm excited.
Thank you, and thank you for explaining all that, so now if I get questions, I'll just send them to you. No, I mean, all right, having seen no other questions on this, thank you so much. Let me move to our next item of discussion, which is 1303, the Tri-Cities ROP membership analysis. If you all just remember, and I think this goes to Mr. Demero, we did pass a resolution earlier in the year to give notice to the Tri-Cities ROP of our intent to withdraw, to allow us an opportunity to study the membership, the structure, and to give us that time to do so. And so I believe, Mr. Demero, that you're ready to share that with us.
Yes, ma'am, thank you very much. And it's always hard to follow a presentation on sports and re-leaguing, but, so whoever created this order, thank you. Kind of approaching the Tri-Cities ROP membership assessment, really attempted to objectively take a very long and complex relationship between Whittier Union, El Rancho Unified School District, and then the collective Tri-Cities ROP, and make it simple and as understandable as possible. So we're going to walk through this kind of in a format that maybe a little different than some of my other presentations. But first, thinking about the history of Tri-Cities ROP, it's as old as I am. I'm 52 this year. So established in 1974, El Rancho Unified School District and Whittier Union came together in a joint powers agreement to establish Tri-Cities Regional Occupation Program. Tri-Cities provides career technical education coursework for both Whittier Union and El Rancho, and have done so since 1974. Funding for Tri-Cities really comes through a combination of funding directly from partner school districts, again, Whittier Union and El Rancho Unified School District, and additionally supplemented through Career Technical Education, or CTE, grants from the state of California, namely the CTIG grant. You'll hear about CTIG, the California Technical Education Incentive Grant, and then what we'll call the K-12 SWP, or K-12 Strong Workforce Program grant. Whittier Union earlier this year, again to just reiterate what Trustee Rodriguez-Moisa stated, earlier this year in December, Whittier Union approved a notification of intent to withdraw from Tri-Cities ROP effective June 30th, 2026. This was later amended in February, the February 10th board meeting, to extend that date to June 30th, 2027. So at this point, that's kind of the history in one slide from 1974 to where we are at the moment. So part of it, John, can I move this? Thank you. Part of thinking about this assessment was really trying to understand how we offer CTE in this district. So the first question we worked to answer was, how do other districts support CTE coursework at their school sites? So typically 3 different ways. CTE coursework is typically offered either directly by a school district, solely by a school district, fully supported by a regional occupation program. You'll hear a lot about North Orange County ROP. It's a big ROP that offers for some of the North Orange County school districts exclusive CTE coursework. And then there's school districts that are hybrid, offer both CTE coursework from single subject teaching credentialed employees within the school districts, and supplemented by Tri-Cities ROP. That hybrid could go even further, where you can have Whittier Union, and we fall into this third core category, where Whittier Union teachers teaching Tri-Cities ROP coursework. Right, so, and then our pathways, when you think of academies or CTE pathways, can be, again, solely Whittier Union, solely Tri-Cities ROP, or combinations of the two. We'll take a look at that in our next slide. So in Whittier Union, what pathways currently exist, and here's some examples of where we start seeing that hybridization of pathways. In Whittier Union, we've identified 32 total pathways. Again, pathways include multiple courses with a minimum of having a concentrator and then a capstone course. So we've identified 32 different pathways, of which, when I look at this particular table, the top row is Whittier Union pathways, and you can see at the various comprehensive school sites, the number of Whittier Union only pathways varies significantly from 4 to 0, for a total of 9 Whittier Union pathways. The next row, Tri-Cities ROP pathways, 19 Tri-Cities ROP pathways, and then in the third row, 4 hybrid pathways that are offered through combinations of both Whittier Union coursework and Tri-Cities ROP coursework. So I'm going to front load some recommendations up front. So kind of go back to my teaching days, where I say don't bury the lead, don't hide the objective from what you're trying to communicate. So I'm going to put this up front, then we'll kind of go through a bit of a review of how did staff arrive at these recommendations. So what you'll see in the next coming slides is really 2 recommendations. One, we're going to look at a comparison of cost. And based on that comparison of cost, staff would recommend that Whittier Union continue with Tri-Cities ROP due to 2 factors: their lower overall cost, and 2, their grant capacity as compared to Whittier Union. And then the second recommendation really is regarding how Tri-Cities utilizes their resources. There's some recommendations there regarding could they use their resources in a more efficient, more effective way that could potentially save or reduce contributions from both El Rancho and Whittier Union, and or utilize their resources to expand services further to be more aligned to the needs of students in both districts. So we prep for this section. Here's the questions that we're hoping to answer, or that we hope to answer through this assessment. Again, what is the cost of Tri-Cities ROP membership? What services do we get for those costs? And then what would it cost if we try to do it on our own, right? Which was kind of at the foundation of our original conversations going back to December and February. The fourth bullet there, what grant resources could we retrieve or apply for and receive? A question that's still going to be out there, what would be our pension liability should we leave Tri-Cities ROP, again, which would result in the dissolving of that JPA? What would our pension liability be? And then the last couple of questions, again, going back to how does Tri-Cities ROP utilize their resources, and are there possible things that can be done that would result in reduced expenses for us specifically? So again, trying to boil this down to kind of the simplest way to do it. And part of the simple approach to this is not being a employee of Tri-Cities ROP. We're reliant on the information that they share with us. And so trying to take the information that's comparable that we could retrieve from them. So this is just our cost. Whittier Union's contribution, and this is for the last full fiscal year, the 24-25 fiscal year, we made a contribution of just over $1.5 million to Tri-Cities ROP. This next section, the section reimbursement income, I mentioned earlier that Whittier Union actually has Whittier Union teachers that teach Tri-Cities ROP coursework. When that occurs, Tri-Cities ROP reimburses us for a portion of our cost. Not for the full cost of those sections, but they reimburse the ROP salary rate per section back to us. And then lastly, the third column, the facility rental income. Tri-Cities occupies office space on the Pioneer High School campus. We received $102,000 and some change in rental income from Tri-Cities, who utilizes that space at Pioneer.
So for an actual cost, or a net cost of between $1.2 and $1.3 million for the 24-25 fiscal year. So that became sort of the baseline of what does it cost us for services. What services do we receive? 88 sections. And thank you to, again, Mr. Liggett getting a lot of shout-outs today. Mr. Liggett in the Ed Services Division helped support this piece in identifying ROP sections that are offered in Whittier Union. 88 sections. 88 sections is the equivalent of 17.6 full-time employees, full-time certificated teaching. The word section we use, think of it as a period of the day, if that's not a familiar term. Scattered across all 5 comprehensive campuses. To be fair and objective, we do receive some additional services beyond just teaching. College and career advisement and career technical education counseling services are received through Tri-Cities ROP personnel. We as a district, Whittier Union does not supervise or evaluate the instructional staff formally. Although we are in those classrooms and we do observe classes that take place in Whittier Union, we do not have the supervision and evaluation responsibilities over Tri-Cities ROP courses or instructors. The evaluation of the programs, other coordination support, when I say coordination with, for example, community college districts, Rio Hondo articulating courses, that is not the responsibility of Whittier Union, that falls in the Tri-Cities ROP responsibilities. There's one instructional aid at Tri-Cities ROP that supports the Whittier High School Automotive program and pathway. We do not provide direct oversight or grant management services for Tri-Cities ROP. Additionally, Tri-Cities ROP handles their own HR, payroll, and purchasing responsibilities. This was a little more challenging. So what would it cost Whittier Union to offer comparable instructional services? Again, at the bottom, carried over that number from 2 slides ago. Again, that 1.2 to 1.3, $1.264 million is what we contribute to Tri-Cities ROP. Trying to estimate what it would cost for 17.6 FTEs if we brought them into Whittier Union. Challenging piece is we do not have a CTE-only salary schedule. So trying to look at where would they be placed on our existing salary schedule. And then trying to be conservative. At the least, we'd imagine that our lowest column on the certificated salary schedule is salary column A. So using the very first column on our current salary schedule and assuming at the bottom of A only goes down 9 steps. So I want you to think of this as the kind of trial basis. We looked at salary schedule A9 and assumed that maybe that's a good place for comparison. So that's a bachelor degree only, no credential in Whittier Union, with up to 9 years of service, or with 9 years of service. That's where that $88,689 comes from. That is salary schedule A9. Looking at that, we also looked at statutory benefits. Cal STRS members, we have a statutory contribution of 25.69%. So for an $88,000 salary, a corresponding statutory benefit of about $22,784. And then employees have the rights for health and welfare benefits. So looking at our middle of the road plan, our Blue Shield HMO, Delta Dental, Vision Support Plan, and Unum Life Insurance. This is a very middle of the road basic health and welfare package, about $21,500. When I multiply those costs times the 17.6 employees, we get a projected cost of $2.3 million. So when compared to what we currently contribute to Tri-Cities ROP, in our current structure, with our current benefit programs, obviously it's nearly double on that one.
So how does ROP do it? Well, they apply for supplemental grant funding. So looking into the supplemental grants, Tri-Cities receives about $3.5 million, again in 24-25, about $3.5 million in CTE grants, a combination of CTIG and K-12 Strong Workforce Program grants. The larger of the two grants is the K-12 Strong Workforce Program. Interestingly, in doing the homework on this, school districts that apply for these grants directly must contribute a $2 to $1 matching fund requirement. ROPs or consortiums that apply on behalf of school districts have the 2-to-1 matching ratio for CTIG, but have a 1-to-1 matching ratio for the K-12 Strong Workforce Program. So for that comparison, as a whole, Tri-Cities ROP has larger grant capacity. So they can apply and receive more grants without as much matching funds. So that's one of the benefits that Tri-Cities has to leverage grant funding above school district direct application. Now, I will go back and say these $3.5 million is split between Whittier Union and both the Whale Rancho Unified School District. So kind of the conclusion from this look was we have less grant capacity at the current time. Pension liability. This is a tough question. I'm going to tell you up front, I don't have the direct answer for this. But what we do know is that an Assembly Bill 1912, which was passed in 2018, provides specifically CalPERS, and I'll say the language itself talks about retirement, state retirement programs, but only CalPERS is really utilizing this leverage. But CalPERS, when you dissolve a JPA, the two districts or former district members retain that liability moving forward. This forces member agencies, if Tri-Cities ROP were to dissolve, member agencies, including Whittier Union and El Rancho, would share the responsibility for future pension debt. How much? I don't know. This was something that I believe Tri-Cities was exploring directly with CalSTRS and or CalPERS. However, I know it exists, and we know this from our experience with former JPA PTC, People Transportation Co-op, where currently Whittier Union still contributes more than $300,000 annually to pension liability that exists from PTC's prior membership. Moving towards now how Tri-Cities ROP uses its resources. This was interesting in kind of the comparison. I think we had a sense of this over the years, but really kind of breaking it down into this table really, I think, put a finer point on that. When we look at the blue column, or the blue columns, that's Tri-Cities ROP, where they spend their money. This is based on their 24-25 unaudited actuals versus Whittier Union High School District unaudited actuals. You can see a significant disparity in where the money is spent. 30.8% of Tri-Cities ROP's expenditures are in administrative salaries and management level positions versus just 8% in Whittier Union. And I'll clarify this. Tri-Cities ROP's budget is masked in some way, and not in a negative way, in that they have a large pass-through with the pretzel development funds that they receive. Expenditure-wise, about $7 million passes through Tri-Cities ROP each year. Their total passes through pretzel funds. Their total budget is about $14 million. So half of their $14 million budget is pretzel pass-through money. So when you really look at Tri-Cities ROP expenditures, it's about $7 million. So of that $7 million, we can see how they are expending those dollars in terms of personnel, with 54% at certificated staff, 14% classified salaries, and then about 30.8% on management and administrative salaries. Again, compared to Whittier Union, we can see a discrepancy in those three categories.
Madam President, may I ask a clarifying question? I know he's not done yet, but just to...
Sure.
Mr. Jamero, is pretzel an acronym?
Pretzel's the name of it's a workforce development program. We did receive in the fall, and I believe Mr. Lopez and Trustee Lopez and Trustee Rodriguez-Moyes may have also been present for that presentation last fall at Tri-Cities RP. So it came up there as a question of, tell us more about these pretzel funds, right? And I will say I can't share that I'm exactly an expert on it even after that presentation, but maybe that's something to further explore as well as what are those resources, or what's the benefit of that relationship to Tri-Cities RP? It literally is pretzel. So
That's not a good name. It's like a wine bee.
Move to the next one, ending fund balances. Again, this shows, when we look at the ending fund balance at the top, Tri-Cities ROP, this is 24-25, just shy of $7 million, $6.9 million. Total expenditures, if you pull out the pretzel pass-through dollars, truly the total expenditures was $6.9 million. And their ending fund balance was also $6.9 million, which gives us a ratio or percentage of ending fund balance to expenditure of 99.3%. Just for comparison, Whittier Union 24-25, about a 25% reserve. Dr. Oviedo helped me and went back and looked through the last 5 years of unaudited actuals, and just to verify, was this an anomaly that they had a leap in their ending fund balances for 1 year? And I'll share with you that over the last 5 years, their ending fund balance averaged 100.7%, 96%, 103%, 115%, 95%, 96%, 99%. So it is not an abnormality to have this over the last 5 years. That's been about what the reserves have been. Which leads to some conclusions on our part. There is a benefit that Tri-Cities ROP provides instructional services. They're able to do so at a lower cost than to be provided within the district today. Additionally, although Whittier Union is eligible to apply for the CTE grants we discussed, Tri-Cities ROP has larger grant capacity for additional funding. Third bullet, we would likely incur a pension liability assessment on an ongoing way should Tri-Cities ROP cease to exist. The fourth one, salary ratios are significantly different in Whittier Union on how Tri-Cities allocates their resources for different classifications of staff. And then the last bullet there, they have significant reserves. All to kind of come back to those recommendations that we saw at the beginning of the presentation. We do, looking at the overall lower cost and grant capacity, recommend that we continue our membership with Tri-Cities ROP. However, some questions have arisen concerning can Tri-Cities ROP better utilize their resources? And I'm not saying that an organization that size should have the same percentage, because we can understand how the scale of a district can play a role, right? I will tell you, as we get smaller and we have fewer teachers, our percentages are gradually shifting over time. However, at 8% for Whittier Union in terms of management salary cost versus 30%, there's something that could be needs to be looked at and adjusted there. So Tri-Cities ROP should better align their management and administrator expenses with what we're doing in partner districts, again, both in Whittier Union and the El Rancho Unified School District, and look at their extensive reserves as a way to reduce our contributions and or expand CTE programs. So how much? How much? I would imagine $200,000 to $300,000 a year in adjusted contribution could be absorbed by Tri-City ROP's large reserves over a period of time as they look at restructuring maybe how they spend their dollars.
Thank you, Mr. Jamero. I'm going to open it up to questions. Mr. Lopez, you want to go first?
Right, I do sit on the RP board, so thank you, Mr. Jamero, I appreciate it. And one of the key things that I think a lot of employees maybe listening to right now is maybe the first one, right? Staff recommends when you continue membership in TCROP due to overall lower costs. So there is that heightened anxiety, so to speak, of withdrawing. So I just want to point that out. And two, I do have a question. When we get the from LA County, we ROP, with the union, other school districts, get a kind of a budget breakdown, snapshot of the budgets, right? When do we see such numbers, high numbers like you mentioned, 99.3%, 105%? Do we ever see those kind of numbers?
In terms of a percentage, typically, I know for us, we don't demonstrate as well. In our annual budget presentations, I give you a percentage reserves compared to our minimum percent reserves. In my time, when I sat with you all on the board of Tri-Cities ROP, I don't think it was ever presented as a percentage. And I think the piece that's a little bit, maybe, again, I'm going to use the word masked, but not intentionally, is that because such a large portion of Tri-Cities ROP's budget comes from grant funding, and if we recall, early in the year, they don't always have that assumed as income until they receive the grant award notification. So early in the year, it may not appear that they will have a large reserve at the end of the year, and it's not until they close the books at unaudited actuals that that number shows up. So if you're looking at first interim, second interim, you may not see the projected large ending fund balance until they're actually closed, because not all of the income is necessarily assumed early in the year at budget adoption, nor necessarily at first interim. So typically by second interim, you should see all the revenue for that year showing up, and then at the close, there's no, everything should be completely unmasked and completely known. And again, I'm probably using the wrong word, because the word masked seems negative as I say it out loud. Not intentionally masked, but not fully seen until that revenue is received, grant award notifications are received, and those numbers can be booked as income.
So the first and the second and third interim letters that we get, right? There's some that, for example, there is a deficit, because I raised the question, why is there a deficit? Well, and the question or the answer was, we're waiting on certain agencies to release that money to, so there is that, right? There is that question about deficits too, not just the reserves. But I'm looking at the unrestricted general fund deficit funds spending. For example, it was dated this letter August 26, 2025. There is a reserve percentage 9.9 for 9.59%, 2025-26. Then in projected reserves of 17.62 and 26-27. So I'm just, Right,
Make-
this is just one letter, but you
Can clarify
mention
that.
it maybe later on.
For that one from the county too, they're only accounting for unrestricted reserves.
Right.
So again, with such a large portion of Tri-Cities RLP being grant funded, that'll fall in the restricted side of the budget.
Correct.
And have a large overall restricted ending fund balance. When I did the comparison here, these are all reserves. Right? These are all reserves. This is not, and the reserve values that you're talking about is something that the county often focuses on, is the unrestricted ending fund balance as a percentage of expenditures, which is kind of the legal requirement for, which is what you have to meet for us, the 3% minimum reserve. But true reserves include restricted reserves as well. So this comparison, it is ending fund balance, not restricted, not unrestricted, total ending fund balance for the general fund of Tri-Cities RLP.
And you're right, and the reserves are restricted, right, because of the grants that
That's correct.
they've received. So, yet they are tagged as can be spent, correct?
Yeah, purposefully, again, CTEC Strong Workforce Grants are a major funding sources for teachers and operating costs for the program. So although restricted for the purposes of career technical education coursework.
Thank you. How about this one? But after, yeah.
Anybody else? Ms. Conchola?
So I guess, I know some of our board members attend those meetings, so I'm not as privy to some of the information or discussions. So I'm listening in, and, you're using the terminology of mass, but I'm thinking in terms of true transparency as a partner. What I would like to see is those, a report of some sort for those monies that might come in later because of the grant timing, et cetera. And I don't know if we are able to get that on, biannual basis, so that at least at midterm we know where we're at. I trust your recommendations, you're the staff, but I do want to know, show me the money. Well, where's the money coming from? Where are we going? How much is it really costing us?
And I'll share again, that is not meaning to use the word mass to disparage or suggest that there is a hiding, because we've had questions about that, and Mr. Lopez, I recall your questions about, tell me about this deficit and the explanations. We did get explanations at my time with Tri-Cities about funding challenges and the timing of how it came in. What I'm indicating is the first interim or budget adoption for any district is not going to be as clear as you're going to end up at second interim and at closing. Particularly exaggerated in a situation where you're heavily reliant on grants like Tri-Cities is. So their swings from budget adoption to second interim or closing in terms of income can be significantly different. And they're not booking the income until they receive the grant award notifications. But they receive those grants consistently from year over year. It's just, and that is the right business practices. You don't assume the grant until you receive notification that the grant's coming. But when the grants, we talked about $3.5 million between those two grants. And the contribution that they get from Whittier Union El Rancho is 2.1. So more than half of your budget comes from two significant grant sources. That plays with your percentages and plays with your income level significantly.
Anything else? Dr. Castaneda-Calleros?
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Mr. Jamero, for this presentation. I think it is as engaging as releaguing, so I appreciate you following the releaguing. This might be called re-upping, who knows? But I have a couple of questions, but it's going to sound like a statement, but I want to be able to kind of think through my observation because it will lead to the question. So bear with me and as I kind of think out loud about this. I'm thinking back to December when the board approved the resolution, and I know that the Superintendent Oviedo brought this to us, and there was certain impetus for this resolution, and I want to go back to that part of that impetus. Due to time constraints, I'm not going to go into everything, but I am concerned if we decide to accept this updated recommendation and rescind that resolution, we can kind of come back to the next steps later on and remain in our GPA with Tri-Cities ROP. I would like to know if our Board of Trustees in this district will be receiving regular reports that include student success indicators. Because for me, the litmus test for evaluating any relationship with any agency, whether it's in a GPA or whether it's a partnership or what have you, how are our students doing? And are they adequately prepared for the workforce? Are they employable? Are they ready to contribute from day one? And can they retain that job once they get that job? And there are smarter people than me that know which indicators to use. I imagine that those that are already part of the data, the California Data Dashboard, are probably the first step to think about. That's my first question. And then I'll go on to my second and third question because they're related, and then I'll pause for response from any member of cabinet as appropriate, Mr. Chimera, and then and Dr. Oviedo. And then I'm also concerned about what protocols or practices will be in place to ensure that Tri-Cities ROP teachers, counselors, and staff that we will know that their instructional strategies are effective at making sure the students are adequately prepared for the workforce. And are we going to hold Tri-Cities ROP teachers accountable to the same standards that we hold our own CTE, our own district CTE teachers accountable to? And then will our site principals be able to use those standards and refer to those standards in trying to mentor and check in with and supervise these Tri-Cities ROP teachers who are teaching the classes, whether they're the hybrid pathways or whether they're the Tri-Cities ROP pathways or the district pathways. So I know those are kind of all embedded together and they do overlap, but those are my questions at this time.
Take a shot at some of those and look at the remainder of cabinet, our superintendent, Phil, and Pikes as well. We started some recent conversations. What would those metrics be? I think starting with the dashboard, the college career indicator would be a place to start, but knowing there are other indicators. We discussed looking at career certification or coursework certification, the number of certifications received by pathway. We know that Tri-Cities has historically provided pathway completion data to at least at the Tri-Cities RP board meetings when I used to attend. So that's it's a metric. Maybe not a I've made this point before, maybe it's not a fair metric for just Tri-Cities ROP, but it's a better metric, I think, for Whittier Union CTE completion, with a component of that being contributed by Tri-Cities ROP. Are we making enough progress or growing in the right directions in terms of college career indicator, certification, and pathway completion? Those would be the first off the top of my head. I'll open it.
I would just add with respect to the question you asked about the teaching and the level of quality of teaching and et cetera. We currently don't have an MOU of information sharing as it relates to the formal evaluation of the teacher that is currently done by an ROP administrator. So we walk through. We certainly see practices, some good practices, and of course, like with any teacher, some areas where we could make improvement. That is potentially an area where we could assist ROP with reducing their administrative costs. I also at this point want to share I really appreciate the relationship that we have with El Rancho Unified. So they're actually doing a similar presentation tonight. And we've been sharing information, and I will share with you that the percentage of administrators for El Rancho is very similar to Whittier Union. I think we're 8% and they were 9%. And so both show a disparate amount compared to ROP. That is an area where we could have a potential recommendation that on an MOU, we would take on the responsibility with our administrators to provide feedback and support and evaluation to the teachers while they still maintain the teacher as their employee, particularly given that they're working with our students.
Right.
So to relinquish all responsibility to ROP is definitely something as a bit of a control freak that I'm not necessarily comfortable with. So that could also help to reduce their administrative costs if we have an agreement to take on these responsibilities.
Thank you.
Anybody else? You go ahead. Okay, so let me start here because I have just a few questions, I think, and a couple of comments. I am very grateful for the very hard work that the team put into put this presentation together. I think this really was sort of the impetus for the December resolution, which is, let's find out if we're getting the bang for our buck. Can we do better? These are our students. I know that some perceive that as, oh my gosh, you're not going to offer CTE anymore. And that was never, ever the intent. The intent was, can we provide it better? Can we provide a better service? Can we provide it in a more cost-effective way? And so when I take a look at the numbers, I just want to clarify a couple things, and I believe these are true. The teachers employed by ROP are not union, is that correct?
That's correct.
And so the salaries that are set for them are basically just set by whatever Tri-Cities ROP decides to set the salaries at, correct?
That's correct, and so they do not have a bargaining unit. They, so where they do have some board policies that and recommendations that come before Tri-Cities Board for recommendations for salary increases, but they do not have a bargaining unit, and kind of a significant difference. They are at-will employees in Tri-Cities ROP versus in Whittier Union.
And so if we ever thought about moving them into Whittier Union, they would then become part of the bargaining unit and we'd have to negotiate those presumably increased salaries, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And then the benefit formula you had for us was about a 45% burden rate on salaries, right? If you looked at PERS and you looked at other benefits. Do you know what the burden rate is for the Tri-Cities ROP on their non-wage benefits?
We're talking about their statutory benefits or their health and welfare benefits?
Both.
Their statutory benefits will be similar. However, there is some pieces that move. Again, if they are CalSTRS members, that portion of their statutory benefit, which is the largest portion of statutory benefits, would be the same. However, we do have some flexibility in setting workers' contribution rates in addition to OPEB contribution rates. So there would be some flexibility, but within 4 or 5%, I would assume, for their statutory contribution rates. Their health and welfare benefits could vary widely. Ours do even between plans. Our PPO plan versus our TRIO plan have significant differences in cost to Whittier Union and would vary. I believe that, and I may be wrong, that Tri-Cities is a member of the CalPERS benefit program for health and welfare benefits, but I do not know their rates. I think I answered that.
Yeah, I think that answers. I think theoretically, though, if we had ever decided to absorb them, those employees would do better in terms of compensation coming to us as a district and staying in Tri-Cities RP, presumably also not being at will for 100% of the time, having a tenure period. I'm saying generally given how teachers are treated. I'm not saying that would happen, but would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. And as part of the exchange of information with Tri-Cities, we did receive some basic salary information for their instructional staff. I would say that our salary schedule would be much more competitive, even at the estimated cost that the A9 that I used as an example. Comparison, looking at, for example, some of our close competitors, kind of looking at high end and low end. Downey Unified kind of falls on the high end. They range for a year one CTE credential only, no bachelor's degree at about $76,000 annual salary. At year 30, CTE credential with a bachelor's degree or plus 75 units or master's degree, $144,000 in salary. That's for CTE credential with master's degree at Downey Unified at each, or at year 30, versus HLP, Hacienda La Puente, much more modest salary schedule, but still at the top in year 10, CTE plus a bachelor's degree at just shy of $97,000 a year at year 10. So looking at ours, I thought it was a fair low-end value as a comparable, again, trying to be objective and say, could at a low end, if we were able to negotiate a relatively less competitive salary schedule than what we see in the surrounding communities and districts, would it still be financially viable for us to try to take it on? And even at the modest salary assumptions, I still found it to be less favorable.
Oh, I understood. A couple more questions. First, on the pretzel, you said that there were, I wrote it down, something workforce, they were part of some workforce development. Is that, I sometimes hear that phrase when I think about a workers' comp settlement that employees reach where they get a dollar amount to go out and get training or retraining. What more, like, I mean, and listen, I've been on the Tri-Cities ROP board for 2 years, and I've been trying to figure out the pretzel, and all I keep thinking around is I just get twisted around like a pretzel whenever I hear it. So what is your best sense of what that money is used for?
My best understanding of how the money works is Pretzel Workforce Development needs a sponsoring LEA, right? Tri-Cities serves as that educational organization for them. Pretzel provides supplemental training for employees who are, my understanding is on, let's say, on long-term leaves due to industrial accident injury, and on training. As part of the sponsoring LEA, money is received from, I'm assuming, from state grant funding, passes through Tri-Cities ROP back to Pretzel. So, not an expert on the Pretzel model. Like I said, we did have a presentation. I can maybe find that again. It's got to be agendized, and the Tri-Cities ROP maybe back to early fall.
Take a look at that. But the pretzel services are not student-facing, they're not providing services to our students here in Woody Union.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Then you had a slide on the budget, expenditures on the salaries, if you don't mind going back to that, the 3 point, right there. So you have this total salary spend of 3.7, but when you go to the next slide, you say that their actual operating budget is about 6.9 minus the pretzel. So the difference between 3.7 and 6.9, which is 3.2 million, what is that? Other instructional costs or?
Combination of things is what this comparison is just salaries, not including statutory or health and welfare benefits. So what we received from Tri-Cities was a salary spreadsheet. It was not a total cost spreadsheet. So in order to do the comparison, we just looked at salary to salary spend as a comparable. So portion of this, probably add another 30% to this would be statutory benefits, health and welfare, potentially 40%. And then the rest would be instructional materials, services, other operating costs.
Thank you. I will say, having sat on the board, I always imagined that we were super poor. That's always been the impression, whether it's a deficit or if we're waiting for this grant money. because I know we've had ideas about how do we expand our CTE education offerings. And you've got a couple of recommendations, either, help stay in, obviously, but either help them reduce their overhead admin costs or improve their CTE offerings. How do you suggest we as a board, how are we able to ensure Tri-Cities ROP does that? If in fact the challenge of pulling out of ROP is financially too challenging because of the cost to bring the teachers on, et cetera, what leverage do we have to say you need to offer more, you need to lower your administrative overhead?
It's a tough question for someone that doesn't sit on that board. A couple of pieces, right? And let me back up and say I know that the grants that really make Tri-Cities ROP significantly different from Whittier Union and have restrictions. They were applied for based on certain pathways. So I think part of it was shaping I think the board, based on obviously student need and demand and competitiveness in the industry sector, could shape what particular pathways that we should be pursuing and writing the grants to support. So I think that's a piece. Additionally, the board has the authority, the ultimate authority to approve all budgets. So from a leverage standpoint, I think providing a direction would be important first.
Can I also add to that? I mentioned that El Rancho is doing a similar presentation, and we've come to similar recommendations. So I think that when you come back to, and obviously not agendized for this Thursday, but I would imagine that part of the conversation will be, I think we're all speaking in one voice, both here and in El Rancho, on these recommendations. And so I think that provides quite a bit of leverage, because 80% of the board, 100% of the board, including Ms. Bozigian, could give that direction to the management of ROP.
Because I'd like to see us do a resolution at next month's meeting saying we're staying in, but we have these concerns, and we ask that you consider these two things.
Right. The other piece that, maybe to follow up that answer, I think the inclusion of our site administrators, our principals, people that have the pulse for the demand in CTE coursework at each of the campuses, both in Whittier Union and El Rancho, could be involved and probably should be involved in the development of those instructional priorities. The reality, and I will say this as a former principal in Whittier Union, I wasn't good at CTE. When asked, as a former teacher who spent my whole career on a high school campus, what are those industry sectors that really we need to pursue? I didn't know. I didn't know, because we were confined to one industry sector. So having knowledge about what growing industry sectors were out there, what's the competitiveness, the salary rates, oftentimes I wasn't the right person to say, but I know kids, I know students, I know what they like, I know what they're asking for. And often what we saw is the industry sectors and pathways that grew on our campuses were the ones with the really dynamic teachers. Whether that led to a competitive career or not, what class did I like to go to? Because I felt like I had a good time and I learned something. So we often built programs based on who could build student interest, which isn't always the same priority for what are the growing industry sectors. So there is some work on our end as well to try to bridge that gap between student interest, engaging staff, and the pathway to a career that I, as a former site administrator, didn't even know existed. So maybe bringing the right people together to start developing that instructional vision for the future that can maybe shape those discussions. Like I said, our conclusions where we're Tri-Cities is a little top heavy. So we can talk about that, right, and figure that out. What the direction is from an instructional program priority moving forward, I think we need to bring people together to figure that out.
Thank you so much. Mr. Lord, you've been waiting patiently.
No, it's okay. Thank you. No, we continue. And thank you, Mr. Jamero. And on the topic of, absorbing teachers in, possibly, I know we're not recommendations stay as is, but just for the sake of discussion, I know that I raised the issue of what about classified employees as well? And, you know, from my understanding that there's already enough classified employees here already that can do the job. So what happens to the employees that do the work over there with the ROP, the classified? Let's think about that. But again, you don't have to answer that. Yes, there's two components, classified and certificate. And then with, you know, I agree with my colleagues here about there's got to be sort of like an update, you know, an update us. You all are the experts on the numbers. Give us an update on what's happening too. You know, maybe I'm not going to be there in a year or two or whatnot, but give us an update too of what's happening. Are you going to have the same 99.3% of reserves? But just update it. I really like Trustee Conchola's statement and idea. So, and you know, definitely agree with her. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back and let's put it to rest, but with parameters. I'm okay with that. Let's put some parameters behind on that. Now I do have a question about, are these real numbers? Obviously, it's 3 days because we can't change it, but are these real numbers that you're presenting us?
Yeah, these are numbers from the 24-25 unaudited actuals, which again is the close of the fiscal year. They're the most accurate numbers you're going to get, other than the audited actuals. But again, year to year, those are the most reliable.
And what was that, Mr. Chibra?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
When was that? You said that these are unaudited.
Right.
These are the numbers when? I'm sorry.
At the end of each fiscal year, when they close and the unaudited actuals are presented.
June 30th?
As of June 30th, but typically the books don't close, won't be presented to the Tri-Cities R Board until September, typically, but those will be the numbers as of the close of the fiscal year. The unaudited actuals are probably the best comparison. Again, and I think a part of the process of looking at these recommendations would be to bring Tri-Cities RP a part of those discussions as well. As much as we've reviewed their budget and their numbers, I will guarantee they have a more thorough understanding of where their numbers come from than we do. So thinking about how do we recognize some basic, again, my presentation was to look at it through a simple lens and make meaning out of that and say, okay, how do we then make adjustments to better utilize those resources?
One more clarification, thank you.
One more clarification question. So I know the recommendations for us to proceed with the membership, but I want to know also, like, what would your recommendation be in terms of having a similar conversation so that we can really look at the numbers? Again, my suggestion is for us to at least look at the numbers, you know, once or twice a year. But in terms of the recommendation of partnership, how often do you think is necessary?
Well, I think the pieces, these are Tri-Cities numbers, you know, and so and I know that Tri-Cities has been responsive to my questions. So I'm hoping they are providing, and it should be part of each first interim, second interim, unaudited actual presentations. We can look at those as well and kind of give our staff's perspective on those. What we're reporting here today are kind of what the numbers are. I think the second part of that is asking Tri-Cities RP, why are the numbers the way they are? As opposed to, we can see what they are and make observations. What's the reasoning behind how they're spending their money? That's the other part of the conversation that we are not having today, and I couldn't answer to. But how did we end up here, right? Well, why is the reserves as large as they are? Why are the budgetary decisions to spend money the way they are? How is that shaped by their philosophy, perspective, or priorities? I don't have the answers to those.
Oh, Mr. Lopez.
I'll be frank with Mr. Murray. I've been on this district, 6 years now. You've been on the ROP board as well. Again, you're the expert. If someone would have raised the issue, I think a lot of us would have maybe done something about it. But here's another thing is that there's going to be a meeting on Thursday, and it's going to be on Zoom, log on, and I encourage people to just listen in. I'm sure there's going to be some questions, and there's going to be some answers. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Jamero. I will probably work with Dr. Oviedo to see if there's a resolution to be presented to the board at the next meeting with respect to the recommendations we received today. There is consensus with the board that they are comfortable with the recommendations made by staff. Thank you so much, Mr. Jamero. I know that was a lot of work, but very, very important work as we move the district forward. Let me now move to, I think I'm on item 14. 14.01, consider approval to include board policies 2000s to the board subcommittee work on the zeros and the 1000s. We realize we also have to get the 2000s reviewed. Mr. Lopez and I are already meeting, I think it's next week, on the zeros and the 1000s. So I hate to blow anyone's, hopefully, idea of fun, but I'd like to see if I can get a motion to add the 2000s to the subcommittee that Mr. Lopez and I are staffing.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion is to add the review of the board policies 2000s to the board subcommittee work on the zeros and the 1000s. Moved by Ms. Conchola, seconded by Mr. Lopez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh wait, you have a comment, I apologize.
Thank you to the committee for your work.
This one luckily I think only has like 6.
Yes.
So we're good. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes 5-0. Next, we have item 14.02, consider expulsion of a Whittier High School district student. May I have the motion read by Vice President of the Board, Conchola?
I move that pursuant to the requirements of Education Code Section 48918F, we accept the findings and recommendations of the Administrative Hearing Panel regarding the expulsion of Whittier High School student number 212481.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Conchola, seconded by Mr. Lopez. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Let me now move to 14.03, consider approval of a declaration of need for fully qualified educators. And Dr. Oviedo, if you may explain this one.
Yes, I'm going to actually turn it over to Ms. Fitzgerald.
Mrs. Fitzgerald, pardon me.
Yeah, this evening we're bringing to the annual declaration need for fully qualified educators. It's an annual requirement, and this applies to districts when we're looking for particular teachers who might not be fully qualified. So this gives us an opportunity to be able to hire them based on our staffing need, either through a short-term permit or provisional internship permit.
Thank you so much. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Castañeda-Calleros. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Urquiaga. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
That's okay. Any opposed? No opposition, so motion passes 5-0. Next we'll move to 14.04. Consider approval of resolution number 2526-31. New master agreements for architectural services with firms in the district's architect pool for design services needed for the Measure AA bond and other projects. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Castañeda-Calleros. Is there a
Second.
And seconded by Ms. Conchola. All right, discussion. Any introductory background? Is this Mr. Jamero?
We'd be happy to do that. We have a limited number of projects left, and we are requesting that we continue with the same architect pool as we finish these projects.
Any questions, comments?
No question.
All right, seeing no questions or comments, I'll call the question. All in favor of item 14.04, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Let me now move to 14.05. Consider approval of resolution number 2526-39, approving award and authorizing the execution of the leaseback contract documents and other acts along with the pre-construction services agreement with Paul C. Miller Construction Company, Inc., DBA Miller Construction, for the planned construction of the Whittier High School Athletic Field Improvement Project. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Castañeda Cayero, seconded by Mr. Lopez. Mr. Lopez, you have some discussion.
No, it's just a quick question. How many projects do we have going on with Miller Construction?
This would be their fourth. So
This
our
would be
two
fourth.
pools, and then they are finishing Santa Fe's athletic field, so this would be fourth.
Okay, thank you.
And we have generally been happy with
Very
their
happy
services.
with their
Awesome.
performance.
Any other comments, questions? No? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of item 14.05, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 5-0. Now let me move to item number 14.06, consider approval of resolution and agreement number C26-33222 with the Department of Rehabilitation for Transition and Vocational Services. Can I get a motion for discussion?
So moved for discussion.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Castañeda Cayero, seconded by Ms. Conchola. Can we get a brief report on this?
Yes, Ms. Bozzian.
Tonight, we bring forward the renewal of our Transition Partnership Program contract with the California Department of Rehabilitation, a partnership Whittier Union has proudly maintained since 1987. This 3-year agreement enables vocational staff to refer students with IEPs and 504 plans to the Department of Rehab for individualized transition services. We respectfully request board approval to renew this contract and continue preparing students with disabilities for meaningful employment.
All right, so, did I get a motion?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so who wants to vote in favor of keeping this partnership since 1987? I'm kidding. Mr. Lopez has a question.
I do have a question. What's the cost? I'm sorry. What's the cost? Is there a
They
cost?
pay us. They
Yeah.
give us $3.4 million
That's good.
over 3 years.
Zero. Thank you.
Can I have a brief question?
Yes.
Since this is for a new 3-year period, I'm just wondering if there were any concerns or takeaways from the previous 3 years that we would like to keep in mind in moving forward, that's all.
No concerns have come up over the last 3 years.
Good to know. Thank you very much, Ms. Bozzian.
All right, seeing no further questions, I'll call the question. All in favor of item number 14.06, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, second to last but not least, I think, 14.07, consider approval of Personnel Report 2025-26/11 and report of resignations. Ms.
Yes, tonight we're excited to bring we have 9 new classified staff members we're bringing on board, and 5 classified staff members are receiving promotional reclassifications and some much needed positions. So very excited, along with the variety of summer school assignments that are so with your approval.
Do I have a motion to approve the personnel report?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I'm going to give it to Ms. Conchola, moved by Ms. Conchola, seconded by Dr. Castañeda Cayero. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of approval of the personnel report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's approved 5-0. Now we get to 15.01, which is future board topics. And on this one, I just take a bunch of notes, but yes.
Oh, Ms. Conchola, you can go first.
Oh, you were first.
Okay.
I apologize, I okay.
I just have one.
Yes.
And I just would like to request a consideration of perhaps a presentation by VMA Communications on marketing efforts for the district, especially in the geographical areas where we might be losing students to other school districts, i.e. Hacienda de la Puente, up in Trustee Area 1, Avocado Heights, perhaps Trustee Area 5 in La Serna area, maybe we're losing students to Fullerton. Actually, that's 4, huh? Trustee Area 4. So, and then the second reason for that presentation, I think it'd be good to get maybe a refresher on FPPC rules in terms of which marketing materials the board can appear on in terms of their name and which, you know, and photos in terms of the difference between paper versus electronic. I think it's been a couple of years since we received a training like that, and I think it would behoove us, especially because this is an election year, and I just think we need to be transparent and on the same page about guidelines. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Conchola.
So, knowing that the Santa Fe Springs is starting police department, and it's gonna, even though it's 2 years ahead, that I would like us to get a report on how we ensure that we are part of those conversations already. I think it's gonna be essential, given that, you know, we have one of our schools in Santa Fe Springs. And so, you know, I want us to start building with building a partnership already with the chief who's already been identified.
Okay, I got that noted down. Mr. Lopez?
Couple of things. One, this year we've been receiving a lot of, you know, concerns about, you know, coaches, you know, maybe you know, some athletic leaders in the respective sports, and maybe the issue of, you know, preferential treatment and such. I would like to see if we can do a mid-season check-in with parents and also with the students, and maybe an anonymous survey. Why we want to mitigate a lot of issues, maybe mid-season, whatever, before they actually end the season. And the reason is because we want them to enjoy their high school experience, especially, you know, with athletics, if they're in athletics. You know, we don't want folks not to participate in the end of the year ceremonies because of whatever issue. Maybe we can try to address the issue midway season. So I just want to see if we can do that. And maybe, like, again, maybe anonymous survey or whatever it may be, but there's got to be some kind of action to address those issues before end of the season. Thank you.
I'll follow up with you privately to get a little more details.
Okay.
I don't think we can do the banter back and forth here. Mr. Urtega?
None at this time.
I will go ahead and add the item I mentioned earlier, which I think it'd be important for us to understand sort of the rules, regulations, expectations we have of how the ASB monies are kept, schools, you know, athletic teams, and so that we have an understanding. We've heard a lot of information, not just today, but from other parents very concerned in other schools about how that fundraising happens, what happens to those monies. And of course, I presume it's unlawful for there to be direct payments from parents to a coach. And so I think we also want to know some of those parameters and rules and what it is that the district does to ensure that those prohibited types of activities don't happen. So I would add that to the review. And then I know we have a bunch of other things already in the queue that you all are waiting on patiently, so that they're coming.
May I add one more thing?
Yes.
I would also like to get like an update on the immigration sensitivity conversation in terms of you know, ensuring that all of our teachers and staff have ongoing training on how to address those types of issues when the schools reopen again in August, or even not wait that long because we're going to have summer session. And just, you know, just because I'm seeing a lot of attacks on the immigrant community, and especially on social media. And so I want to make sure that everybody's, because we're going to be getting a lot of new staff, and I want to make sure everybody's well trained in terms of how we respond as a school district.
Got that noted? All right, so with that, the board still does have to go back into closed session. We did not finish our discussion. So I will adjourn this portion of it to go into closed session. And thank you all, those of you who are hardy enough to stick it through for the whole time. So thank you so much. And we'll see you at the next meeting. We won't adjourn just yet until we're in closed session. Thank you.